just that I should ask for a transfer.
If we could go back to the previous slide, does that at all assist you in determining whether or not
you asked for a transcript? You must have been talking about something.
He
Not
also
exactly,
generally, not today, but generally says,
so let's go back to,
always be
flip
honest.
back to the next slide.
This morning about
Does the,
testimony.
what is up in black help
Not
you
this morning.
reach any conclusion about whether those pieces
No.
are microscopic in size or
Hey, by
not?
the way, ask
I-
for transcripts.
Well,
I don't even know how it came up. It was,
so those are-
I didn't put much significance to it.
Well,
again, I'd like to go back, but I think those might be 16th or 32nd of an inch if we're using the same edge
No.
of the ruler.
You have any memory issues?
No.
We are entering week 4 of the Sean.
Another bombshell in the Sean Diddy Combs trial as a new alleged victim took the stand.
We are entering week 4.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Hunter. An objection. Where are we? Is it in evidence now?
It's not yet. It will be.
Okay. The DNA. It's not, right?
It is not.
Okay.
Is there a question?
Yes, it's open. I denied the motion and allowed the line of inquiry.
Back in session, you may be seated.
Jurors, I appreciate your patience.
Jackie, good afternoon.
All right, Mr. Brennan.
Thank you.
Just gonna let this ride out. Check the bottom of the screen in between breaks in the meantime. What up, everybody? Free Karen Reed. Let's go. Justice for John O'Keefe. Boots on the ground. Jackie.
Good afternoon, Dr. Russell.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Russell, we were talking about your differential diagnosis and your opinion that Mr. O'Keefe's abrasions on his arm were not consistent with impact or collision with a car. I was asking you specifically about some of the things you may or may not have reviewed before you formed your opinion. You looked on direct examination at a photograph in Dr. Welcher's presentation, and it had a photograph of a person who had been hit and died as a result of a collision. Do you remember that photograph you looked at?
The photograph of which one specifically?
There was a gentleman
I've
lying
seen-
on the ground. His face was redacted, and there was.
Oh,
some
that one. Yes.
Remember that one?
Yes.
And when you discussed that, what was the reason? What was your point in discussing that?
I was answering questions.
Do you know what the point was? What you were trying to deduce or?
No, I was
suggest?
just answering questions.
Okay. You have stated before that one of the reasons you do not believe that the injuries were the result of a collision or impact with a car is because there were no lower body injury breaks. Do you remember that?
That's one of the reasons, yes.
You would agree that a side swipe or a clipping collision is different than a front or a back immediate impact, like being run over. There's a difference, right?
In general, yes.
When you talk about the absence of lower body brakes, do you have any studies about the frequency or the likelihood of lower body brakes in a clipping impact as opposed to being directly run over?
No.
When you looked at that photo that was shown to you on direct examination, did you look at the actual injuries that were listed for that gentleman and see that there were no lower body breaks?
I looked at all the injuries, yes.
And did you recognize in that photograph and slide that there were no lower body breaks?
Yes, I did. There were major internal injuries, however.
When you considered the information in this case, did you have an opportunity beyond that photograph to look at Dr. Welcher's videos about impacting a vehicle driving backwards? Did you watch those videos?
I saw an image. I saw an image.
Did you see a video when Dr. Welcher put blue paint on his arm and showed the height and the location when it touched Alexis? Did you see that? Did you consider what's called the text stream data? Do you know what text stream data is?
What?
Text stream, the black box that shows the operation of a car, how fast, how slow, acceleration. Did you look at any of that information before you formed your opinion?
I looked at it, but I honestly did not understand it.
Did you ask anybody to help you interpret that data before you drew an opinion that the injuries were not consistent with the collision?
Well, first of all, my opinion came long before that report ever came out. So the answer to that is no.
When you have an opinion, if there's new evidence that is contradictory or different or maybe undermines your theory, do you have an open mind to reconsider your theory?
Yes, I do.
Did you want to understand that information about the text stream data and the information that was available regarding this allegation? Did you want to understand that before you came back and offered the same opinion you had before that information was available?
I didn't understand it. And I didn't know that if any of the attorneys understood it, actually.
Did you know anything about Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone data when you were drawing these conclusions about when his last movements were? Did you learn anything about that?
No.
Did you know about any type of DNA testing on the defendant's rear taillight area?
Yes.
And did you know about any hair found on the car?
Yes.
Did you consider those things when you excluded the collision or impact as the cause of those wounds?
Well, I considered that. However, he had, my understanding is he had been in and out of that car, on many occasions. And so therefore there would be reason for either skin cells or DNA or possibly other, hair, fabric to be on that car.
So when you consider testing your conclusions, do you look at it as an advocate or do you look at it as a scientist or a doctor and try to value how little or how strong that evidence is?
I'm looking at it as a neutral party, a doctor, a scientist.
So you're not looking at it as an advocate to try to discourage the strength or weakness of evidence?
Excuse me?
You're not looking at it as an advocate. You're looking at it as an independent professional.
I'm not an advocate at all.
When you talked about John O'Keefe's sweatshirt, could we put that up, Ms. Gilman, please? You identified or discussed some of the tears to the right sleeve of Mr. O'Keefe's sweatshirt, didn't you?
We discussed one puncture to the right sleeve. Yes.
Having an interest in dogs and dog bites, certainly you're aware in your experience, when a dog bites, it creates quite a bit of saliva, doesn't it?
It can.
It can actually, a dog can froth, is what they call it. Excessive saliva when it's in the moment.
Some dogs, yes.
And some dogs, they can shed hair, especially when they're interacting with other objects, don't they?
They could.
Hair is considered trace evidence, isn't it?
Yes.
And saliva contains important items sometimes like DNA, correct?
Yes.
And that's considered oftentimes very important trace evidence.
Yes.
And Dr. Russell, are you aware that one of the criminologists took swabs of holes on the left sleeve of the sweatshirt?
Objection, Your Honor.
No, are you aware of that?
Yes.
You've heard of UC Davis,
Jackie, you're
haven't
the
you?
best.
Yes.
Appreciate
In
you.
reference to that previous question, however,
Which was coming out June 9th.
swabbing was done many weeks after the death, and there were images of clothing on the emergency room floor. So yes, I am aware that there were some swabs taken at some point.
Is that gratuitous answer part of your advocacy or a part of your medical objective opinion?
Objection, Your Honor.
And so you're aware that these holes were swabbed to send a sample to UC Davis, aren't you?
Yes.
UC Davis, do you understand they specialize in dog DNA?
Animal DNA, I believe.
And you also know, in giving it before you gave your opinion, that when they were tested, there was no dog DNA found in any of the samples. You knew that, right?
Yes.
In fact, what was found was pig DNA,
That's correct.
and there's no identification where the pig DNA came from, is there?
I don't think so.
So when you saw the information, after you claimed there is a dog, Kubik John O'Keefe, when you saw the information that they were swabs done of those holes and the results were no dog DNA, did you consider that before giving your ultimate opinion?
Yes.
And in fact, you've tried to discount the significance of that evidence in the past, haven't you?
Yes.
In fact, you have made claims about that evidence candidly with no foundation whatsoever, haven't you?
I explained why there could be no dog DNA found.
You were claiming that it was inconsequential because a number of speculative reasons, didn't you?
Objection, Your Honor.
So the objection sustained. You can ask it differently.
When you were discussing the absence of dog DNA on Mr. O'Keefe's sweatshirt in the past, were you trying to make suggestions that perhaps the samples could have been tarnished or compromised in some way?
That's one possibility, yes.
As a independent, objective expert, should you deal in possibilities, or is it a better practice, best practice, to deal with objective criteria in the form of actual opinions to a reasonable degree of certainty?
It would be best to go through a process to determine, or at least come up with a list of reasons as to why dog DNA was not found. There are a number of reasons. You know, if you have a test in medicine, you expect it to be positive, and it's not positive. You go through a process of trying to figure out why the case is that way. There are many reasons why there could have been no dog DNA found.
When you first gave your opinion, you didn't even know about that DNA testing, did you?
Not initially, correct.
But then once learning about it, you were not willing to reconsider and change your opinion about the source of these scratches. You maintained the same opinion you had before, correct?
I reconsidered, however, my opinion did not change.
What you suggested is there's possibilities, is the word you would use, possibilities why there were errors with the DNA. Yes?
Yes,
You can't tell us anything based in fact. Wait,
No.
I'm
oh, sorry.
You can't tell us anything based in fact to support the claim that something was wrong with the testing of this DNA, can you?
Not in fact, but again, you have to go through a process. If you expect a certain diagnosis or a certain finding on a lab test and it doesn't materialize, then you wonder why. And you want to know, was the test done correctly? You know, was the specimen handled correctly, et cetera, et cetera. There's a process.
And in that process, you found no evidence whatsoever, none, zero, to support any claim of compromise of that DNA process, did you?
Well, ideally, the swabbing should have happened immediately or very soon after the incident. So there was a delay in processing or swabbing to begin with. And then, of course, I don't know about the transportation or the chain of custody.
You were a medical examiner, weren't you?
Yes,
When you were a medical examiner, when you examined a person or their body, you did everything you thought was reasonably necessary based on the information you had, correct?
yes,
Did you know at the time Dr. Scotabello did the autopsy, there was no claim whatsoever that a dog caused these wounds?
yes,
Did you know that claim didn't come about until over a year later?
no.
And did you know that in response to that claim, that's why this was done at a later time? Did you know that?
Still, for a complete investigation, this should have been considered by investigators early on.
Even where there was absolutely no claim or evidence whatsoever that a dog caused these wounds?
Well, again, a complete investigation.
You can't tell us one step that went wrong with that DNA process, can you?
The process, no.
In fact, you have admittedly very little experience with DNA.
I have little personal experience with DNA.
And yet, although you're not an advocate, you are willing to advocate trying to undermine the strength of that evidence, aren't you?
No, I am a scientist, and I'm trying to understand why it could have been negative.
As a scientist and providing a medical opinion, do you try to exclude in your differential diagnosis all other reasonable causes of a wound?
Generally, yes.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes.
Now, when a dog bites a sweater, would you expect that it would leave DNA?
Yes.
When a dog bites a sweater, you would not expect it would leave little fragments of taillight shards in clothes, would you?
Correct.
And so in this case, when you were developing your theory and differential diagnosis and excluding causes, did you consider that when Mr. O'Keefe's clothes were scraped, his pants and his shirts and his sweatshirt, what was discovered were minute, small fragments of broken taillight that came from the defendant's motor vehicle?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow that.
Did you consider that?
I didn't know that at the time.
Could we have 201D, please?
What's up, everybody? Chat, how we doing? Jackie,
Dr.
thank you
Russell,
again.
this is a photograph.
What's up, Melissa? Cheryl with an S, thank you for holding it down. Just had to make sure Luna was good. I like Liza's new haircut, huh? O'Keefe side's getting deep, deeper. TB made it. TB in the house. Jojo, so in between these sidebars, I'm going to talk about the bottom. We have JFK and I are doing a live podcast June 9th, 7 to 10, 196 Franklin Street, Lynn, Mass. It is 21 plus because it's at, there's a bar set in. So yeah, it's 21 plus. It's going to be a great time. I think right now, as of last night, we had 40 tickets sold. So that's pretty good. I mean, 40 people at least, are going to come hang out, watch this, live, watch what we do live. They're going to get to see JFK and I in action. It was pretty cool. I was at my nephew's graduation. I forgot the woman's name, and I'm sorry if I forgot your name. If you're in the chat or if you come in the chat, you happen to see this on the replay, leave a comment. But she came up to me and she asked me, "Are you James Jackson?" I said, "Oh, goddamn." She's like, "I knew it." Just for me saying, "Oh, goddamn," the way I say it. It was all love.
Dr. Russell, were you aware that very small fragments, shards of plastic that match the broken taillight of the defendant's Lexus were found when criminologists scraped Mr. O'Keefe's shirt and sweatshirt?
Yes, I became aware of that.
Did you become aware of that before or after you came to your opinion and conclusion that Mr. O'Keefe's arm abrasions were not caused by a collision or an impact?
After.
And when you learned that, did you get a chance to see this photograph to see how small many of those pieces were?
Yes.
And would you agree that broken plastic, like broken glass, can tear fabric?
Yes.
Would you agree that broken plastic, like broken glass, can rub up against a person's skin, and if enough friction is caused, it can cause abrasions?
Yes.
Would you agree that if fragments like this were randomly in the sweatshirt, that it could cause cuts or abrasions to Mr. O'Keefe's arm?
I don't believe that fragments that are randomly in the sweatshirt or clothing would cause the parallel abrasions, the pattern of the parallel abrasions that we saw in the arm.
Do you know how Mr. O'Keefe fell to the ground and what movements his body and arm made as he fell to the ground?
Not definitely.
You don't know?
How? No.
Do you know how much distance or little distance he moved when he was on the ground?
Yes, approximately, I think it was 20 feet. I initially heard 60, but around 20 feet, I believe.
Oh, Jackie, thank you
think-
so much. That means a lot.
Do you know
JFK
where
and I
his
have been
body was
working
found
hard.
on the side of the road?
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Do you know if his body, before it rested, moved or slid on the ground?
Yes, it did.
And it's your opinion that fragments like this could not have caused the superficial abrasions to John O'Keefe's arm?
In reference to that last question, actually, that I don't know that there was a collision, but I know that it's alleged that there was movement of the body after the collision.
I wasn't asking about the collision. I was asking about his body. Are you telling us to a reasonable degree of medical certainty that these type of fragments that were found in his clothes could not have caused the superficial abrasions on John O'Keefe's right arm?
They can cause superficial abrasions, but not in that pattern that we saw on the arm.
I'm going to ask you the question again. Are you saying to a reasonable degree of medical certainty that these fragments did not cause the superficial abrasions to John O'Keefe's right arm?
Correct.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Alessi?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Let's go, Alessi. Let's clean this shit up. Karen smiling, looking good. What up, Austin, Lisa? Tell me how that sounds.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, I would like to have published what is in evidence is 201A, and then I'm going to proceed after that with 201E.
Okay.
Just asked about these alleged shards. Can you tell
Does it sound
the
okay now?
size of them from this depiction?
I don't even see any shards in that depiction.
Can you read that slide and see the handwriting that is there?
Yeah, it looks like clear app plastic collected from 7/18/18. There's another
Where is
date
it,
over to
though?
the left side, and then it says AMV 6/29/23.
Right. And if Mr. Wolk, you could go back, can you determine at all from this whether the shards are microscopic or not?
I cannot see any shards.
All right, let's go to 201E. With regard to this depiction, do you recognize what is in this depiction?
It looks like irregular, red colored pieces of debris.
Thank you. And do you recognize the ruler
Yeah, I have
above
a mic,
those
though.
pieces?
I'm not sure if this is the same ruler as in the previous image, but there does appear to be a ruler.
If we could go back to the previous slide, does that at all assist you in determining whether or not it's the same ruler?
Not exactly, but there are similarities.
So let's go back to, flip back to the next slide. Does the, what is up in black help you reach any conclusion about whether those pieces are microscopic in size or not?
Well, so those are, again, I'd like to go back, but I think those might be 16th or 32nd of an inch if we're using the same edge of the ruler. Those pieces that are depicted are not microscopic because we can see them with our eyes, but they're extremely small.
All right, so they're extremely small. You've asked, you want to go look back at the ruler. Does that further assist you in your analysis as to the size of these pieces?
16. So those looks like they're maybe a 16th of an inch or less.
Okay, so let's go back, Mr. Wolk, one more time. So these pieces are a 16th of an inch or less, correct?
Yes, if we're using the same ruler.
Right. So with regard to, and if we could, Mr. Wolk, now go to Exhibit 1. Attorney Brennan asked you several questions with regard to whether those 16th of an inch or less pieces could cause these types of abrasions.
Goddamn dude needs a muffler.
You have addressed this issue, but I would like you to answer whether those pieces, a 16-inch or less, could cause, now knowing the size, whether they could cause these abrasions, including with regard to this pattern.
I don't believe so.
And with regard to that answer, how do you come to that conclusion? What is your thought process?
Okay, again, there are multiple parallel abrasions. So these pieces would need to be lined up in a certain configuration to cause those abrasions, and they'd have to be oriented in nearly the same direction, because many of these groupings of wounds, and if I may use the pointer, are oriented in this direction a little bit, well, anatomically a little inferior to superior, ever so slightly this way. So they're oriented in the same way. So not only would they, those abrasions are rather large for those tiny pieces of plastic or glass, but they'd have to be oriented in a certain way to cause those wounds.
As an emergency department physician, as a forensic pathologist, what is the likelihood, if any, that those shards could cause those wounds?
You have to ask it differently, Mr. Wilson.
Dr. Russell, please state your evaluation and conclusion and the basis for it as to whether those shards of glass, or excuse me, shards of plastic, 1/16 of an inch and less, can cause those abrasions on and wounds on the right arm of Mr. O'Keefe.
I do not believe that they could have caused those wounds.
Is that a close call for you to come to that conclusion?
Not at all.
You were asked several questions by, please keep that depiction up, Mr. Wolf. You were asked numerous questions by Attorney Brennan where he wanted you to go section by section by section and evaluate each. He grouped these, I think, 5 or 6. Do you recall that questioning?
Yes.
Is that a scientifically proper way to evaluate this wound to determine whether or not it is from a dog? Is that a proper methodology to look at each individual section only?
No.
How, at a scale, is it improper to evaluate them that way under your methodology?
Objection, of course.
Dr. Russell, what is the proper way to evaluate the wounds on the right arm to determine whether or not they're caused from a dog?
To look at patterns,
Common sense.
because individual wounds can vary, but the pattern is what is significant.
And on your direct examination, did you go through this method that you just described, a pattern and pattern recognition? Did you go through that in some detail and discuss that?
Yes.
Now, you were asked questions by Attorney Brennan, and in his questions, it was asserted that you don't have a standard, a published standard. Do you recall that questioning?
Why?
I'm going to allow it.
Do you recall the question asking whether you had a standard to reference for your methodology? You recall that questioning?
In reference to dog bite wounds, yes.
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 And with regard to the question and assertion in the question with regard to a methodology, you referenced studies, and as part of your answer, do you recall that discussion with Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Do those, are those studies peer reviewed?
Yes.
And give the name, please, again, that we had gone over on direct, but give the name of the lead authors of each of those studies.
Yes. So one of them was by Dr. D. Munich, and the other one was Dr. Pollock. And by peer review, that means that it's the article was reviewed by other physicians in those respective specialties
So
of
if we
the
could
authors.
just- I'm sorry to interrupt you, Doctor.
I'm
You
sorry.
finished?
The specialties of the authors. Yes.
If we could take that down for a moment. Your Honor, may I approach, please?
Okay.
If I could have, Your Honor, for Madam Court Reporter, exhibits marked for identification PPP and QQQ.
All right.
And I'll start with PPP if I could, please.
Nice. Lucky's out there, Cheryl.
Thank you, Madam Court Reporter. May I present?
I was wondering who they were
Thank
going to
you,
call
Honor.
next.
Dr. Russell.
It's a good
we have
idea.
For you,
You got to
PPP,
get
is
Higgins
that
in there, though.
study with the lead author,
Or the end of the week, I
Dr.
would hope.
DeMunich.
Yes.
Do you recall Attorney Brennan in his questioning asserting that you had no basis and there was no support for your methodology of pattern recognition? You recall that discussion?
Sustained in that form.
Do you recall questioning on the cross-examination by Attorney Brennan as to your basis for a methodology in terms of pattern recognition with regard to dog wounds? Do you recall that?
Yes.
Can you please take a look at exhibit PPP for identification and identify whether there's any section in that study that talks about and documents the methodology that you use in that study?
Yes. So this is an article that was published in the International Journal of Legal Medicine, and it is entitled Forensic Approach of Fatal Dog Attacks, a Case Report and a Literature Review. And so it's several pages long, talks about a specific case, and then on page 298, there are some significant passages that I would like to read, actually. So it says here, dogs have some very specific dental and maxillofacial features. They have 42 teeth, 20 in the upper jaw, 22 in the lower. Usually the mandibular dental arch is narrower and shorter than the maxilla. And that means upper, lower and upper. Maxilla is the upper. Maxilla, and the shape of the dental arches varies among the different breeds. There are natural gaps between the teeth that are attenuated or accentuated depending on the breed. The canine masseter pterygoid complex is short and strong, and its insertion on the mandible provides powerful mechanical advantage. So that's talking about the muscles, how powerful they are. And then goes on to measure the forces.
If you could find the location, if there's any in there with regard to pattern, is there any discussion about attributes and patterns in that study?
Yes, this next paragraph. The above features attribute to the characteristics of dog bites. The maxillary teeth distal to the mandibular teeth allow the so-called scissor bite in which the dog can lock onto his prey. The tremendous force of the bite, muscle complex can develop, allows the dog to twist and tear, and cause great damage. The injuries caused involve a combination of biting, crushing, tearing that results in characteristic patterns of punctures, lacerations, avulsions of the skin and soft tissue. Forensic pathologists noted the multiple torn wounds with adjacent puncture wounds, the so-called hole and tear combination. That's in this case. The puncture wound, a round hole, is made by the canine tooth of either the upper or lower jaw on one side that serves as an anchorage, while the other teeth cut into the flesh, causing stretching lacerations in the process of biting, shaking, and tearing. This should be considered pathognomonic for dog bites, especially when accompanied by tissue defects and claw marks, the latter being narrow, superficial, linear abrasions arranged parallel to one another, 4 or 5 in number, and usually found in the vicinity of the bite. This pattern allows differential diagnosis with bites of other animals, which are not accompanied by pulling and shaking, nor by the usage of prominent canine, and with stab wounds caused by sharp instruments.
Does that study support or not support in the literature a pattern recognition methodology?
That's sustained.
What do you conclude from the language you just read in that study with regard to methodology of discerning dog bite wounds?
That pattern recognition is very important.
Now what I would like, if I could approach Your Honor.
Okay.
Sure. 298. If I could return this to Madam Court Reporter and please request Exhibit QQQ for identification. Thank you, Madam Court Reporter. May I hand it to the witness?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. I've now handed you what is marked for identification as Exhibit QQQ. I would ask, please, that you, is that the Pollock study that you referenced in your direct and in your cross-examination?
Yes.
Could you please, as you did with the Munich study, can you please articulate the relevant, just the relevant sections with regard to your reliance upon that study?
Yes. So this is an article from the Institute of Forensic Medicine at the University of Vienna.
Is that a peer-reviewed study?
Yes.
Please continue.
Excuse me?
Please continue.
Okay. The title of the article is Fatal Dog Bite Injuries. And there's a summary. It says the dog's front teeth. So let me preface this. This was talking about a deceased child. And they describe the features. It says the dog's front teeth left marks of individual circular or scratch-like abrasions, as well as slit-like skin severances. Slit-like skin severances of the skin, arranged in curved lines. The pattern of the skin lesions largely corresponded to the anatomy of the dog's set of teeth. No tissue defects could be detected.
And is there any other section of that study that references pattern and pattern recognition methodology? Any other
Yes.
words, any other section? And if so, could you please read them?
Yes. So on page 491, there's a section called the morphology of dog bite injuries.
What does morphology mean?
It means
What's
the
up?
shape.
I am not a hoe. I hope,
And,
I hope the
and so it
Buff
goes on to
Zone
say
is
the
on.
anatomy of a dog's
It's a
teeth
beautiful
is
day. I
the
hope
key
you
to
guys
interpreting
enjoying it.
injury findings. The particularly long cone-shaped
Ladies and
pointed
gentlemen,
canine teeth often create
your pilot,
sharp-edged
AFK.
wound slits that can be mistaken for stab wounds. The bite mark
What
on
up,
the
what
skin
up, what up, what
is
up?
ideally
What
a
up, what up?
complete and congruent imprint
You know
of
you're
the front
behind, right?
dental arch.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I
only
figured
the
that out.
protruding canine teeth are imprinted. If the
I
shorter
They
went to
broke
the
for lunch.
incisors
They
leave
already.
an impression, smaller skin lesions,
How far behind am I?
parentheses, round pressure
You're
marks
pretty
or
far
streaky
behind.
glide marks can be found.
Would be any fracture to any bone.
I believe that there is a
Well,
very
let's
high
talk.
likelihood
Let's
that
talk
there would
since you
either
got,
be
since you got lunch to talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let me hold on. I want to show you something. This part right here was crazy. So you got that message I sent to you, like how we talked about last night. Let me just show you this real quick.
just that I should ask for a transcript.
Well, there must have been some there must have been some context. He didn't just turn to you talking about the weather and say, "Hey, you should ask for a transcript." You must have been talking about something.
He also generally, not today, but generally says, be honest. Always be honest.
Fantastic. But this morning about your testimony, what did he tell you? Did he tell you this morning you should be honest?
Not this morning.
Okay. Does anybody need to remind you to be honest when you testify?
No,
Okay. What else did he tell? How did it come up? Hey, by the way, ask for transcripts.
I don't even know how it came up. I didn't put much significance to it.
Well, it was just moments ago it happened because you just got to court. You can't remember the context of the sage advice of Attorney Alessi?
No.
You have any memory issues?
Oh, no.
May I approach?
Yes.
Transcript, page 46.
Oh,
Yes, live. 196 Franklin Street. Meet and greet. JFK, James Jackson.
Gonna be dope, man. We already got about 40 people right there.
Yes, sir. Working on it, working on it.
So yeah, man. That was crazy when he said that. She said, "Huh?" She couldn't believe his bullshit.
Yeah, women don't like when you talk about their memory or their age.
Yeah, the age. He tried to put that ageism on her, like she's not a credible, her
Well, that's good.
credentials.
I'm glad she reacted that way because it made the jury understand. If the jury has any type of empathy, sympathy, whatever, how you would say it, but they would be like, wow, he's attacking her mindset,
All right, Chrissy, does that help?
Yeah. Oh, what, they're back in? Well, this is still behind.
They're going to lunch, bro. That's a little bit behind. They're at lunch right now, bro.
All right, let me get this up to par.
But yeah, she kind of got upset about that, and she was upset about that, and especially like her memories, everything she got, right? She's older. That's the first thing they say goes on, on everybody when they get old is their mind, and she
Hey,
probably
thank you so much
takes
for watching the Karen Reed trial with us.
Second
But I wanted to tell you
chance.
guys about something real quick. We talk a lot
she
about
probably
personal
takes
safety
pride.
days.
Yeah, so we get this strong.
Oh,
It's important, and
Just
the
hit stop
points that I'm going to
sharing.
make in the next couple of seconds.
Warmer temperatures. So
I just want to get it back
Bring
there.
it in. Okay. All right. Thank you, Hunter.
It should be.
becoming a target of phishing scams, potentially stalking. There's so much more. But that is why I'm so happy to tell you about our sponsor, Delete Me. So Delete Me helps keep your personal information private. They found
Right, just
35
mute it.
data brokers with my personal information.
Yeah. Sorry. Got a lot of
You
shit
take it
going
off
on.
the screen. You take it off the screen, bro. Just don't even worry about it on the screen. You could still see it on your screen. You know what I'm saying? Just hit stop sharing the screen and just click on your tab every time you want to check. I mean, they ain't coming back until like 2 o'clock, man. So you're good. You got this crazy guy. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Yeah. So, what up, Nikki C? What up, DD? Drea? Parents just left. All right. So they're going over to the spot to have their lunch and sit with Dr. Russell. What do you think about that? What do you think the jury was thinking when Hank said, you know, so who did you come in with this morning? I mean, obviously they're paying this lady, right? They're paying this witness. Obviously they're gonna talk to her. It's not like they're gonna have her come out and just have her like in the background and then they just all, huddle without her. She's gonna be part of every single conversation that goes on. And I can tell you just from being there as an observer, like being not with the team, not a witness in the trial, that's what they do. They all huddle together and they get their plan in motion. And so where Hank was going with that, I just didn't understand it because it's like
Well, you're not
that you
supposed to
know, and then
talk
we
when, but
go ahead.
when you're on the stand, you're not supposed to talk until your testimony's over.
Oh, to the lawyers?
Yeah, to anybody. You can't talk about the case. Like it's a what's it called? It begins with a S. I'm sure someone in the chat put it up. I know I know how to say it, but I'm not gonna say it because I always say it wrong. So I'll have someone else say it.
Oh,
It's a question. What is it? It's a question, whatever it's called. Am I saying that right? Let me see how you
it's
say it.
I think I know what I know the word, but I don't know. I didn't know that honestly. I thought you could.
Yeah,
Well, I guess
sequestered. There we go.
yeah, because
So you're
they're a
sequestered. So
witness. They're
yeah,
not.
so when you're a witness though, when you start your testimony, you can't talk while it's going on, you know?
Yeah,
But whatever, it was just a simple little thing, man, but it's really not a big deal.
right. The shit that's a big deal is this officer that testified yesterday. You know, we spoke for hours last night, JFK and I, about that, and that's not okay. That is not normal. You know, that's because whatever she said to the feds, she must have got tortured at work. They were torturing her in Canton. Calling her a rat probably. How the hell could you tell on Higgins? That's a Chiefs boy and whatever. So then they probably offered her that job in Boston. Just what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to screw it up. Like rekindle her statement.
Recant. She
Recant her
recanted her
statement.
statement, man.
Yeah,
They moved her to Boston. We talked about it last night, and
Yep.
I'll throw some context. They moved her to Boston because she had heat in Canton. And obviously, if you work in Boston, you're making more money. It's the city. And his ways was a female officer. Common sense will dictate Krowski. If you're working in Boston, there's different lanes for female officers. So they probably promised her like, a better career, to do the right thing.
Yeah. Do the right thing. I mean, it just looks so. I mean, right there, that's so Boston. Like you'll see something like that. That's gonna be a major part in the movie right there. The way she acted, and I mean, what do you think about her friendship with the girl there? Bro, they showed her graduating class. It said that she graduated. I don't know if that was actually. I seen something about that, like she graduated with Chris Albert. I'm like, well, Chris Albert Jr. They're not talking about the one who owns D&D because he looks way older than that girl that testified.
Nah, she didn't graduate with him, bro.
No, that's what I seen it on like, but I seen it in like one. They let that shit just go into the fan page or whatever, the justice page. Surprisingly, but so far, um, Cheryl with the net said she saw Lucky outside. So, if they do get through this testimony today, Lucky's coming in next. And that was the question that we had last night. Who do you think's going to
I
testify?
guess I guess Turtle Boy put on his Twitter that they got what do you call it, Karina too.
Oh,
And she's coming in with a lawyer because allegedly he said one of his sources said that excuse me, that Jen McCabe, she believed she was on the side of Jen McCabe because Jen McCabe said there was ring footage of it. So
so Karina's going to go against Karen now?
no, she was against Karen or whatever, but or whatever she was, she was going to testify that Jen McCabe told her that there was ring footage, like try to make her get on the side of her. I don't know. There wasn't much context in the tweet, but I can assume that's what he was saying. Like,
Yeah,
but
getting that.
I guess she's coming in lawyered up. I guess.
Wow. I mean, why would she have to come in with a lawyer? Wonder what,
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't.
this,
This
this
shit gets
case.
crazier and crazier, bro.
Yeah, every time someone testifies, it's something else. Really, it's definitely something that, will be time stamped 2025, the Karen Reed case. You'll never forget about this. Definitely history, Jay. It's like when COVID hit and we did the 50 plus bars, but this is a whole new level of corruption. People don't even want to come here. They're afraid to come here, or they do want to come here because they think, you know, um, it's the place to be right now. Whether or not, they're a YouTube creator or whatever they're doing, this is the case that's being talked about. And I'm
Well,
glad.
what you didn't play was towards the end. You didn't get it because there was another part of the she stood up. Dr. Russell stood up and talked about they played Welch's video and of the when he hit the truck, and she testified that it wasn't a clipping. That didn't look like a clipping to her. It was more straight on, and she would assume that if you got hit like that, excuse me again, that you would break your arm. And she stood up and she talked about the bones in the arms and things like that. So she rehabilitated herself um, about how there should be a break in the arm, and at the very least, she said bruising. And they talked about that. So that's how they were going to end. Then they went to lunch. But I think he got a few more questions, and it's a wrap with her. And I don't know if Hank has anything more for her. But as far as her going traveling with them or whatever, I don't think they're gonna think anything of that. And I think that she's, I think they see what they see with the dog bites. And as soon as Brian Albert gets on the stand and talks about he had a dog and they rehomed the dog and they got rid of the dog, and it's all going to start to make sense. And then back to what you said, you've seen the jury. You said the jury was a little bit younger. I mean, come on, they got to be on social media. And if it is as simple as that, they go on social media. I mean, we already know the outcome. It's not guilty, right? I mean, that's what we can only assume if they're a young enough jury. If you Google Karen Reed, it says she's been framed, and then you're sitting there seeing a doctor say them a dog bites. I mean, what do you believe? Do you believe that when you seen Hank doing what he said, like, do you believe it's tail light bites or dog bites? I mean,
I didn't see it. That's why I was playing it too, because I didn't
you
even
didn't
see it.
see it when Hank was
Nah, man, that's why
cross-examining her?
I was putting it on. Actually, I should put
Nah,
it on and
you
put it
put
on
it
fat.
on. Nah, don't put that on. Everybody just watched it, bro.
Yo, everybody. I mean, shit, whatever. I
I'm
didn't
saying
see
that
it. Yeah, I
people.
didn't. I don't know. I'll have to
I
go back
mean,
and watch it.
they just
Bro, it's gonna
crossed the
be
line.
it's gonna be till 2. You said I could play that on fat. I mean, you seen it. I get it. So you don't want to watch it. I didn't
Go
know
ahead.
that.
You want to play it? Play
I
it,
just
bro. I don't care.
I'm saying I don't know other people was if they seen it. I just didn't see it. And when I played it, I thought I wasn't too far behind. But what were you saying?
Nah,
Hank
that
did?
was. But when you clicked on, what I'm saying is, when you clicked on, that was already passed, bro. That was before when you came on. You came on like at 12 o'clock. That when they were showing the when they were showing what I'm telling you with the dog bites. That was before you even came on. That was like at 11 a.m. That was before the DNA. There was so you were you're far you were far behind, period, because they had her on the stand since 9 o'clock this morning. And they had a big fallout where he mentioned the DNA and all that. So, I mean, you could play whatever you want. I'm just saying, like, pick a part you want to play that you didn't see. There's a lot. I mean, when'd you go on? 12 o'clock? So you're
Yeah,
3 hours
but I
behind.
mean, nah, but it wasn't really so much I went on it because I didn't see it. I was trying to do shit on the phone. Phone's going off, trying to get this on. I just threw it on so it would be on. I was actually gonna go live at 1:40 when they came back from lunch, but then I just hit play, and wherever it was, it went, and I thought it was on there because usually when I go on to this channel right here, hold up. You see how right now it says court is on lunch break. It usually goes right to whatever live it's on. So I was already watching it on my phone, so I think it just played it. It paused it from when because I was watching it on another device on the same YouTube. I don't know why I did it, to be honest with you, but I seen up to right here. I remember 25 or 23. Yeah,
It's your
so
show, man. Play whatever you want, my man.
I'm just saying it was 20. Yeah, I seen. I'll tell you right now. It's
No,
not
I'm
that
saying
far.
when you came on, you started
Yeah,
playing
yeah, I seen
like
most of
3 hours into it. I'm just saying the part I'm talking about with the dog bites is that he was just basically, he was trying to discredit her and trying to say, do you know about the tail light fragments and things like that? And she said yes, and they put the dog bites up there, and then he was trying to discredit her of how on different testimonies. Did you see that part? On different testimonies, he was trying to say she switched the story up from scratches to bites, and she really never did. She just never
Oh,
said
yeah, I saw that part when
yes.
you was trying to say, can you tell me if they're bites or can you tell me if they're scratches? I mean,
So that's what I'm
scratches
talking
and
about.
bites.
So if you're the juror, do you believe what she's saying or you don't?
Indication at
Well,
all
it
of
depends. Like
significant
scratches and
bruising
bites
to the
could
right
be the
arm
same.
of
I
Mr.
think
Keith.
they can kind of be the
No.
same.
Well, she
With
explained it.
regard
Yeah,
to
she
the
explained that
lower
she wasn't
extremities
100%
from what is
if those
depicted
were.
here, meaning this impact. Did you evaluate the
I didn't
autopsy
see
and the
his
medical records to
testimony.
see what evaluation was done of the lower extremities?
Yes, a very extensive evaluation of lower extremities was done
What very extensive evaluation was done and by whom?
by Dr. Scotabello, and it was both an external and an internal examination of the lower extremities.
Let's start with the internal examination by Dr. Scotabello.
Unless he applied for a mistrial?
Describe what type of internal examination she performed.
Well, she opened up the legs.
Sustained.
Jojo, calm down. Disclaimer. Play with whatever I want.
May we approach her for lunch?
All right, Jers, I'm gonna send you out for lunch, okay?
Yeah.
We'll see you at 2. Yes, come on up.
I missed this whole thing, I guess. Someone said he went for a mistrial? He
That's
asked for
before you came on. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So before you came on around 12 o'clock. So that all happened around the 10 a.m., 10:30, 11 a.m. mark.
Crushing.
that shit's wild.
Crush.
Yeah. Little DJ. I saw Hank finish. That's where I saw it too.
Now, what happened was he mentioned the DNA. He said there was no DNA present. And that's not true.
Attorney Brennan
Because what
asked you
happened
Pig.
was
Did they
because what
mention the pig?
no, so
Attorney
what happened
Brennan
was they
asked
never
you
tested the
several
wounds, man.
questions.
Oh yeah. She said
Well,
they should have been tested right
cause.
away. I heard
No, they
that
never
too.
tested the wounds, and he said there was no DNA present as
In
if they
reference to
did
that
test,
last question, actually,
as
that
if.
I don't know that there was a
Hit pause on that
collision,
for a second.
but I know that it's alleged that there was movement of the body after the collision.
Do you remember the defendant saying
Damn, every
anything to
time
the
I
first
hit pause,
responder?
it goes to the
Yes.
next.
What did she say?
Come up and up.
Shit. Oh, man. Go ahead, Jay. I can hear you.
No, what I'm saying is that he mentioned the DNA. He said that I mean, to put it in the easiest terms, he said there was no DNA on the shirt. He didn't say that, I mean, excuse me, there was no DNA on the arm. He didn't say they didn't test the wounds. He didn't put it into context like, yeah, they didn't, he made it seem like they did test the wounds and that there was no DNA on the bite marks. And so then, unless he flipped out and said, he put it in the jury's mind that they tested the wounds and there was no DNA. And he didn't put no context to it. So that's an automatic mistrial. Should be a mistrial. We demand a mistrial. Like you lodge that in their brains already that there was no DNA found as if they tested it when he didn't say, well, they didn't test it. So, and of course, Bev denied it. So I mean, right then and there. So right now, does the jury think they tested the arm and there was no DNA? I don't know. But like I said, if they're young, like you say, like they are, like, I know what you say is law. They're a younger generation that's up there. Hopefully they watch this shit and they already got their mind made up.
Yeah, there's I mean, I wouldn't say they're all young, but there's a good amount of young ones in there. There's a couple, but there's also there's just people that are gonna look at that and think the same thing, man. I mean, you have reporters now saying shit that about this whole case. Like I remember that woman Sue O'Connell used to say Karen, she would always act like Karen was guilty, and now I went on Twitter, I see the other side trashing her because she said one thing bad, like not even bad. She just said, "How can this woman say talking about Dever yesterday, Officer Dever lying?" And now they're crucifying Sue O'Connell on Twitter because she said whatever she said. Like, oh, you ain't no real reporter. You're
Wait,
biased. You're there for Karen.
wait a
What?
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. So I don't know what you're saying. Who,
So
who?
basically, you know the woman Sue O'Connell that was like in the beginning was saying wild things about Karen.
Yeah.
So she put up a tweet. Um, Actually, I could share that right now. She put up a tweet, and basically the tweet said how um, the woman yesterday that testified, what's her first name? Something Deva. She was saying how. Let me get the exact, so I'm not paraphrasing here. But right here, she said, if a police officer claims they misremembered, she put misremembered in quotations, the events of a prior police report or interview and want to correct it during a sworn testimony, would that fall under post commission reporting requirements? Question mark. And then they just went in on her. Like you're a real piece of shit, Sue. Asshole mafia. Karen Reed has a total bill. Like she's just, bro. I don't think that was a reason. I mean, I think it was a reasonable question. The girl was up there lying her ass off.
Exactly. I mean, she just ain't a girl, bro. She's a cop.
She's a cop.
And
Now she's a Boston
the
cop.
feds, she switched her story on the feds. And then she mentioned the feds. And on top of that, she said the feds don't care that she switched up her story. So now she just put herself in the scope with the feds.
Right.
I mean,
She's, she's fucking man.
this shit's like a movie, man. Like that's like a movie. Like that right there is a
Like
movie scene,
yeah,
man.
like we said last night.
That's a fucking movie scene right there. Who's
The
playing her?
show, the show exactly. Who's gonna play her? Shit. You could have. It's like we said last night. The show City on a Hill. I don't know if anybody in the chat's ever seen that show. Kevin Bacon. I forget the other gentleman's name, but it's based on like Boston and the corruption
Ben
and
Affleck, Matt Damon made it. There's 3
yeah,
seasons.
it's really good. When is the next season coming out? Do you know,
There's
Jay?
none. They cut
There
it at
is
3
none?
seasons.
Ah, man. That show was awesome. They could have probably done like 3, 4 more with that. I mean, they
Easy.
might even pick it up now. Shit, they could pick it up now and do something on this. But that stuff was back in the day,
Yeah.
like 93.
The whole thing was
Charles
based in
Stewart.
93. Yeah.
Yeah. Peppa, what's up, Peppa? Have a good
Yeah,
day.
but she's a mental case, bro. You know, the commissioners just don't call people rookies in the office. And like I said, they gave her a deal. You know, come work in Boston.
You won't get harassed. Jay, you there?
You'll make better money. You
I was
know.
just gonna ask you, you know how like they try to sometimes they compare like the jail life to the like the prison life. There's like a code, there's like a oath that they take in the prison code. I wonder if they have like for the cops that tell, like if they put them in a certain section, um, because they don't want to be around them. Like she got shit after she said what she said about Higgins and Chief Berkowitz, especially
Oh
probably.
man, she fucking they have her in the scope, bro. She's in Canton. Once they found she said that testimony in August of 2023. So the question is, why didn't they use it in the first trial?
Right. That's a great question. Why the
You
hell
know,
didn't they
well,
use that?
because we talked about it last night. They wanted to go with the four. How many witnesses they have last trial? The defense, 5 witnesses.
5, yeah, 5. We
They
talked,
wanted
yeah.
to stay with that. They wanted to prove to the jury we don't need to pull 30 witnesses. All we need is 5, find them not guilty and call it a day. Now,
Mm,
everything that they had, and we talked about this, is that's what Hank did now. Hank said, okay, well, Lally did the right thing last trial. He brought everybody in, right? So you could do the damage on cross. They figured the damage was already done on cross. They damaged everybody. But now this trial, who they damaged? There's no Nicole, no Chris Albert, no Allie, no Maddie McCabe, no Higgins, no Big Bad Ryan A, no Tristan. They hit everybody. So now Brendan's like, all right, who you gonna call? So now you have everything in your hands. You have everything in your hands. Now, what do you do? Do you call Proctor? Do you call Higgins? Do you call Tristan? Do you call Nicole? Do you call Karina? How do you do it? Like, and that's what they're probably scrambling for right now, because now Deva, she just dropped the bombshell. They wasn't expecting her to be that combative. You can't gauge that shit. That's one of them things, man. Um you put someone on the stand and it goes where it goes. So now what do you do after Deva? Do you stay with the line like they're doing right now with Lucky and with Russell? Or do you turn around right after you get that type of explosive testimony from Deva? Do you turn around and say, yo, let's call Higgins? Like what do you do?
well,
Like do you
it's
slow it
like we
down?
said last night.
Do you keep the pressure?
It's like we talked about, Jay. The jury's wondering who the hell's this guy Higgins. We heard all but we saw him on the cameras doing some weird shit at the police station. We keep hearing his name. Who is this guy? So I think it would be time to bring his ass in. At least pause. I think it's time to bring him in and let the jury see who Kevin from South Boston is.
Yeah.
This would be the perfect time. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know about scheduling. I don't know how that all works. I don't know if they give him some type of, they got to give him so many hours in advance. I don't know. I don't even know how that
I think
works.
it's like 2 days before because
Yeah.
something
All I
happened.
know is, man,
Or
you got something like Devers, right? And now you're going into Russell. I think she rehabilitated herself as far as, when you just look at the wounds itself. I don't even think you need, I think you kind of block out what anybody's saying anyway. You're just looking at them yourself like, the fuck is on his arm? It's got to be dog bites. Tail light didn't do that shit. The
right.
tail lights weren't alive. That means that had to happen in one bang. You know what I mean? Like everything that happened to his arm, the holes in his in his sweater, everything had to happen in one big, one big pop. Boom! It just had to happen. That's not like common sense. Like, you know
Well,
what I'm
Jay,
saying?
the
Like,
other thing too that I think is crazy. Well, not crazy, but you see how John's arm is placed. If that dog was coming at him, this is what the jury needs to see. This. Well, they have to picture it. His arm was probably at a 90-degree. It was probably like making a muscle. It wasn't laid out flat. I think it was more or less like protect. You protect your body, so you throw your arm up and you just make that muscle. So that's why you got what you got for the claw marks and the bites, and that's you get all different. You're gonna get teeth, you're gonna get claws at the same time. It's not gonna come, you know, it's gonna come at you at once, but it's gonna come all different ways.
of course,
That's
of
just my
course. I mean, that like you said though, like you don't need no one to explain that. You know what I'm saying? You could just look at that and say that's exactly what happened. Like the dog started attacking him and he bent his arm. You know what I mean? And try to fight it off him. Um, you don't. If you could just black out with Hank Brennan, the principal who wants to put you in detention, that's the mean guy.
right.
He just wants to be the mean guy. I'm so mean, but I'm the principal. So I'm the principal. And if you're the principal, that means you're right. And that's basically wants to be. Like I'm the principal of the courtroom. So if I'm the principal, I am right. And everybody gotta go to detention. But no, 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 Hank. It doesn't mean shit. No one gives a shit what you think you are, bro. You know what I mean? So that's what he tries to put on people. Like he's in that position because he's a superhero. He's right, and he tries to like take charge. It's crazy. It's wild the way he acts.
Yeah.
He's got no remorse, dude.
No. And I mean, I see actually Judge Bev was kind of being a little fair today, I think, as far as it
Jackie Vems, what up,
seemed
Jackie
like it.
Vems? Jackie
Yeah, so on the
Vems.
bottom screen, check it out. JFK, James Jackson live podcast, June 9th, 7 to 10, 196 Franklin Street, Lynn, Mass. It is a bar setting, so it's 21 plus. And it's gonna be dope. We're gonna have a great time. It's gonna be a live setting. Me and JFK doing what we do, but it's gonna be live and we'll be with everybody. Everybody meet and greet. Have music there. JFK, you want to tell them anything else, or you want to keep that on the low? Stuff we talked about until it happens.
What's that?
The good news you gave me last night.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're doing that the next day.
Yeah.
We'll wait. We'll wait until
Yeah.
the weekend or something to drop that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So I talked to dude today. He hit me up today. So
Word.
it's eight. It's eight. It's gonna be 8:20 the next day, 8:20 a.m.
All right. Good morning, people. So, Cheryl with an S. That's okay. Thank you for being here, holding it down when I took Luna out. So far, it's been quiet. It's been nice. So sad I can't make it, Drea said. That's all right, Drea. We'll be live.
Drea can't make it.
Nah. Drea, I thought you live out this way. No?
Yeah, she lives in Worcester.
Ah.
Come on,
She,
Drea. What's
she
wrong
might not
with
be
you?
feeling well. Monday, I know it's I don't know. It might be everybody else. I know a lot of the people from Nacho Night are gonna probably take the night off from Nacho Night and show up there. Hopefully, they've had a big turnout lately. Last night,
Yeah, but Nacho Night's on Tuesday.
I think it's Monday.
Nah, it's Tuesday.
I think they did it that Tuesday because Nam was coming in.
Oh,
They did it for Nam. Oh, there
that's
she
cool.
goes. Moving it down. Near Framingham, Drea said. Would we ever
So
come
the
out to
reason why you're
Framingham?
not coming is because you're near Framingham, or you got other prior engagements. Framingham's not far.
No. Shit, Jay, where'd you say that woman's coming from on the bus?
Man, don't even mention that shit, bro. Oh my god, dog. That shit is crazy.
So I don't want to hear no excuses, Drea. This woman's taking like a couple shuttles, couple, 2 or 3 buses, and she's gonna be here.
I
Right?
hope not, man, to be honest
She-
with you.
she-
Fucking wild, weird shit, son.
Oh shit. I hope so, man. I love shit like that. So I got issues with driving. I'm terrified. I was hit by a drunk driver. I'm back. I'm back road girl. All right. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, I got issues with driving too. It's called, the registry sucks, but I get it. Some people have fear of driving and being on highways and stuff like that. Here we go. Oh, Nikki C said, I'll be there in spirit. So there was a few people in here earlier. Let me go to the top that said they're going to be there. Mary's going to be there.
Yep. But yeah, common sense would dictate, man, that if you're a rookie, right,
You ain't
you
getting
wouldn't
called.
just you wouldn't be getting called into commissioner's office. And like if you want to talk about conspiracy theory, why is every time we turn a corner when someone mentions someone's wrongdoing about being in Sally ports or being when they're not supposed to be, being there till like videos get inverted, phones get destroyed, dogs get rehomed, houses get sold, people don't remember Tristan. I mean, it goes down the line, man. Gifts. Remember, Julie was going to give Proctor a gift. And that's one thing you forget about. Give the gift to my wife. I mean, as soon as these things you start investigating these people, these fucking things happen, and it's not no coincidence.
No.
Butt dials, Kevin from South Boston calling in the phone, agents lying about their names, and then you
Even
go to
down to the
question.
Commonwealth when Hank stepped in and said, "What if I told you I could present Chloe?" And I got an
Yeah,
impression of her
where's that
mom.
at? Where's that
Where
at?
is that? Unless he's gonna pull that shit out after lunch,
He
but
can't.
he can't. They rest their case. So I said
I
that
mean, I,
today.
I I think he probably could on cross maybe if he pulls
Yeah,
that
that's
out.
what.
I mean,
That's why I text you. I go watch him pull it out right now because when he started talking about the bites and the teeth, I'm
I
like,
don't know though. He hasn't done it yet. I don't see,
no.
But then
But I
again,
mean,
if
he
he,
was very. Alan Jackson it's a game of chess, and it's like there you
yeah.
go. This is how it works. The Commonwealth was gambling, and JFK has been saying this shit since we started. They gamble with the Commonwealth takes a gamble, and they gambled with saying, "Well, what if we told you we had Chloe?" Well, Hank, you just got played because you know they called you bluff. They said, "All right, well, bring her in, do it." It's just wild, man. Shit that's happening in this case. And meanwhile, it separated a whole damn side of people against another side of people that just can't. They just hate each other now over this case. It's so wild.
Well, Cleveland last night was on his live Turtle Boy when I was watching TV last night. He played a clip. I'm sure a lot of people in the chat probably watched it too. Cleveland was saying that the girl, the cop, was, out of order and that she, maybe she's lying about something. And of course, he's on there with, he got a panel of scumbags. He got like 5 people on there, like
Oh, so
all
they were
5 people.
jacking them up.
Yeah, and they started saying that, nah, her memory was just messed up. It happens all the time. You didn't get enough sleep. And you just,
Oh
not when you
God.
listen. You ever hear the saying, greatness is in the details? She said details. She said, I think it's wildly suspicious that he was in the Sally Port, especially when he was at the scene where John O'Keefe died at. You know what I mean? Like she didn't just say, "Oh, I think I seen Higgins in the Sally Port with the chief." And she was like, "No, I think it's wildly
Yeah,
suspicious
and
since
it's
he was
almost
there
like
the
her
night before."
generation.
Yeah, so greatness is in the details. So she had everything detailed. So it wasn't just a memory, man. It was detailed. She gave details. And that's why it's so great. That's and and look at the way she reacted when her car got pulled. And of course, this fucking weirdo, aka whatever, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, KP, whatever you want to call it, KP, PB, whatever the fuck. But the point is, Cleveland was like, realized at that point that, damn, she's not a good look. He kept it 100. Plev kept it 100. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, it won't be long before they're saying, Plev, I'm looking out for you now, man. You might as well switch sides because it ain't gonna be long before they start saying, well, it must be his medicine. He's starting to think that they're not telling the truth. No, she just forgot, Plevlin. I'm telling you, mark my words, they're gonna be all over you.
Oh,
You
yeah. And
know.
that's what happened. Someone in his chat told him to shut up. And he was like, he flipped out. You're telling me to shut up? I can't have an opinion. He doesn't know how to take it because he usually in his chat with his fucking crew of misfits, everybody that's against Karen, they're so vile. So as soon as you turn around and you just pick,
Say one
point
thing.
out, point out, yeah, just like listen, at the end of the day, this trial is unfair. Doesn't matter which side you're on. When we do our little event after the day after our event, when we
Right.
do our little thing we're doing, we'll announce it soon. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say it doesn't matter what side you're on. The point is, it's not a fair trial. Period. Doesn't matter if you hate her, you love her, you think she did it, she didn't do it. Who cares? It's not a fair trial. It
Can we
should be
all
thrown
agree
out the
on that?
window.
Can we all
Period.
agree that this is not a fair trial? And
That's it.
I
I mean,
mean,
come on. A jurors already came forward from the last trial saying that they found her not guilty on a charge, and they're still charging her with the murder. She should only be charged with manslaughter for one, and then for two, the lead investigator got fired. So I mean, like, how do you not call the lead investigator? You know what I mean? How do you not call him? How do you hide him? How do you hide the person who got fired? Like, how do you do that? That's not being railroaded. They don't call the lead investigator. Like
right.
that's crazy. You call them and you put them on the stand and we get to cross them. That's lights out. But you hit them. Oh, by the way, you hit Big Bad Brian A. You hit Higgins. I mean, come on, we can just go down the line of how unfair it is. And then today you're talking about DNA. So there was no DNA on the arm, though, right? Yeah, yeah, there was no DNA on the arm because they never swabbed it.
Right.
There wasn't no DNA on the arm
Can't
because
have
it
you
wasn't
can't
found.
right. You can't present something that you don't have. So that was a dumb question on Hank's half. That's what
It
Doc
wasn't a question, bro. It was a tactic, bro. It was a Gary Zarola tactic. It was a Krowski tactic. They manipulated, they move things around, they get creative. There was no DNA there was no DNA present, right? And she answers it. No, there wasn't. Yeah. And then she answered it, and then boom, he snuck it in, and it's a sneaky attack. No, there was no DNA present, shitbag, because they never ever
Oh, I
tested
thought
his
you were
arm.
saying she got to say that back. So she didn't even get to say that back?
No, but that's why they call for a mistrial because he snuck that in, bro. He
Oh,
snuck it in. He put it in the jury's mind that there was no DNA present. And the jury's thinking, well, shit, if there's no DNA present and they tested the arm, then he didn't get bit by a dog, right? Well,
right.
no, there was no DNA present because they tested the shirt, but we talking about the bites on his arm. They never tested his arm. They never swabbed his arm.
No. I heard Dr. Russell say that his arm should have been swabbed immediately. But I mean,
Yeah, but they didn't do it because there was two cops there during the autopsy, bro.
yeah, I heard someone say, I don't know if it was on the radio, that they didn't check for a broken arm because he was already deceased. Like, no, they're gonna check for a broken arm. They have to check everything off on that list after. I believe so, anyways. Especially if they're saying he was hit by a car, you would think that his arm would have been X-rayed, or I don't know. Is there X-rays of his arm? They never show that. Like, show that to the jury. His arm never broke. How could a look at when be in trouble? I was showing somebody in my family that video he made where he, put the sway bar on the back of the vehicle, the Lexus light, and then his boy threw the arm into it. He's like, he did all that just to prove that. I said, yeah, some people want to show that this is not true. And he's like, wow, that arm got destroyed. So it's just crazy, man. It's very crazy. And
Dude, I
you
broke
know,
my wrist. I jumped the fence before and I landed on my wrist and I broke it. I mean, come on. It doesn't take much to break the bones in your arm, bro.
no,
People
no,
break their hands
especially a
all the
car
time on
coming
people's
at you.
faces.
Yeah,
Exactly, man. You're
a
getting
car.
smashed by a car. I mean, that's the thing. Common sense will dictate. The fact that they try to make us all seem crazy, like this is like a one in a. Why is every single time we bring a witness up and speak on the Sally Port and speak on the characters who are involved, the Higgins, the Burke, the Chief Berkey, whatever his name is. Every time these guys get brought into the fold, there's always a swerve. Oh, the commissioner brought me in the office and then I didn't remember it. I wasn't even there and there's no way. And I'm recanting my story, even though I told the feds that it was wildly suspicious. And like, and why is everything like that's not us doing that? We didn't make that up. We didn't put that in the script. It's just what came out. And it's crazy that they try to say, oh, we're just overthinking it. How are we overthinking it? We're watching it. We're watching it in real time. And the fact that they try to in real time they try to make us seem like we're crazy, like, oh, you guys are nuts. It's like you don't even get a chance to even gather your thoughts because they try to hit you with the smoke screen right off the rip. It's crazy.
It's nuts. Jackie coming through again, sending support to the boy.
Jackie Vems.
Jackie Vance.
Jackie Vems. What up, Jackie Vems?
Jackie Vance keeping it a buck. Before we went to lunch, Dr. Russell started to talk about the medical examiner opening his legs. She probably going to discuss no fractures. Opening his legs? Oh, like
Yeah,
opening
they
his
went to
arm.
they went to lunch after that. So we're gonna find out. I think like yeah, that's what they're probably gonna say. How I mean, I guess they probably can touch his body and like see if there's like if his bones. I guess like if you're a medical examiner and you
Yeah,
that's
but
what you
see,
do is you can like grab on people's body. You could kind of tell where there's a break or something, just by touch. If you've been doing it for years, I'm sure of it.
bro, when I jumped up that time and came down on my ankle playing basketball, my ankle shattered. It was sticking out of the skin. And that was just a jump up, jump straight up, and then straight down. Come down on my ankle, shattered. So imagine a car, especially a Lexus like that, coming at you, even 25 miles an hour, bro. It's still gonna hurt. It's gonna bust your arm somehow. It's gonna break, fracture. I mean, but the way the Commonwealth tried to paint it, um, no pun intended, they actually painted his arm and tried to make it look like he just spun off of the car, and that's what it kind of took him off his pivot, and that's what they're trying to paint now. But before it was just like, oh, he got hit by the car, and it was that, and that was it. But yeah, shit is wild. Drea, boys, speaking of vile, if your father was a lobbyist back in the 80s, could that person get favors in mass court? Thoughts? A lobbyist? If your father was a lobbyist back in the 80s, could that
What
person get
exactly is a
favors?
lobbyist? Like,
Yeah, what person in mass?
is she talking about Canoni?
Canoni's father was a lobbyist, but what is it?
No, I'm saying who's she talking about? I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. What is it and who are you talking about? A lobbyist, man, you'll make me look this shit up. It's a lobbyist. Yeah, I say
I
what's
would
a
assume
lobbyist.
someone with power, right? Some
Right.
type of
I would
power.
assume somebody in you know politics. A lobbyist is a person who represents an organization, business, cause, seeks to influence the government officials on specific issues or legislation. They do this by communicating directly with the government officials, providing information, and advocating for the chief client's interests. Okay, so yeah, they're they're the big shots. We get that.
Well,
So
whoever's
who's
father that
father?
is,
Yeah,
if whoever's father you're speaking of, yeah, obviously, if that's what he does, he lobbies. He gets with people and he broke his deals and he gets to the bag, as someone just wrote in the chat, and
the
he's the one
bag
who's
man.
puts things together. Absolutely.
Why, Drea? You know someone who's a lobbyist? What's going on? I don't know who the lobbyist is, but that's what they do. They get to
Yeah,
the
not
bag.
related to this case. Just curious. Yes,
Oh,
powerful.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if one thing, Drea, you could look at in this case and parallel it to your own life, right? When you think that there isn't corruption, or you start thinking that, oh, we know there's corruption, right? But my point is, like, sometimes you just don't want to think like that. You don't want to have that darkness mindset, right? You don't want to even think. Sometimes you look at something and you see how dark it is, and you just don't want to think like that. You just want to go swimming in the pool. You just want to go to the mall. You just want to put on the radio and let the breeze hit you. You just don't want to deal with the darkness. But if one thing you could have seen yesterday to parallel into how big corruption really is when Kelly Dever jumped on that fucking stand and she ever said that a commissioner, well, for one, she transferred to the Boston police. Then a commissioner brought her to a room and told her to do the right thing. And she changed the whole story that she said to the feds. That's corruption. So to parallel it to what you're saying with the lobbyists, hell to the yes.
Right.
Anybody with power, anybody that can influence anybody to do something different, that's happening every day. Whether you're working at Burger King and there's a dude who's the manager trying to get the little kid fired because he gave 3 cheeseburgers out free. It's happening every day. People are throwing people under the bus. People are trying to people are trying to cut people out. People are holding money from people. People ain't being fair. I
Yo,
mean,
I
it
think
just
I
is
think
what it
that it
is.
happened. I think it happened so much in this case with her that she got so cocky on the stand. The way she talked to Alan Jackson, I think she felt like she saw it in the commissioner's office, right? She saw the corruption and how deep it really is. So she got a taste of they're gonna
And she
protect her,
also
and she
knows
said,
that she also knows John O'Keefe was laid out on a lawn, bro. She doesn't want to be
"Yes,
laid out on a lawn.
exactly." So she's thinking, but she's seen it. So now she's gonna talk back to Alan Jackson, like, and say things that make accusations that you actually threatened me if I didn't lie. Like, come on, man. I mean, whether he did or not, I don't believe that. Honestly, I mean, he might have said, if you don't say what you said earlier, you could get in some deep shit. If you try to change his story, he might have tried to scare her with that tactic, but threaten her, I don't think he would risk, like she said, I risk my job up here if I lie. I think
Yeah,
he
and
would
she
be
was telling the
risking his.
truth about that, though. She was telling the truth. That's the truth of it. You're risking. She's saying that if she lies, her job is in jeopardy. So, the point is, no matter how you look at it, her job was in jeopardy. If she told the truth, her job was in jeopardy. You know what I
Listen to
mean?
this
That's
shit.
one thing. That's one thing. There's something you say in jest. Some things is truthful.
Yeah. No, and I agree. Definitely, there's definitely some truth behind it. He said, how do you say pierogi? I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. Cacciatore. Did I say that right? Pierogi Cacciatore. All because Kevin from South Boston gave her an ATF hat. She thinks that she's the shit now. I mean, who knows, right? She got welcomed into the club.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. And get, what's crazy too is she's such a young officer that I would say the rest of her career, she's gonna be a corrupt officer, to say the least. I mean, this is how she's starting her career off,
That's a
already
real good
testifying
point.
in a major trial, lying and shit.
That's a
Um,
real good. That's a real good point.
yeah, that that's the way I look at it. She's gonna just be a corrupt piece of shit the rest of her life. I hate to say it like that because she's a woman, but
I mean, she got
unfortunately, it is.
promised. She got. I mean, come on. We know there's women
Yeah,
corrupt pieces of shit, and that's
right.
scary
Yeah,
because
man.
her mental health. Like, how do you have a family? How do you become a mother? You know,
Exactly.
I don't think she has kids. You know, what I mean, just by looking at her, just by the way she talks or whatever, it doesn't seem like she's a mother. But I could be wrong. She could have a kid.
Yeah. Per, now I'm gonna mess it up. Pierogi Cacciatore. Is that your real name or just your username? Cacciatore is like a chicken cacciatore, or she is too far in her masculine energy. I mean, I don't know. She looks like she likes to just hang out with the cops after work, and that's why she does doubles. Man, I firmly believe she was there.
Listen, I think she said what she said in August of 2023, and shortly
Because
after
she
that,
did.
she got transferred, and they promised her a better position in Boston. I mean, how much? Do the math. How much money does a Canton cop make versus city cop in Boston? It's
Right.
more money, and there's more things to do as a woman. She could become a school cop. She could become a anything. There's probably
Yeah.
more things that she could do as a woman, and that they have for her, and she took it, and then she had to, she had to pay it off, and she got up there, like someone mentioned, to be in the club, and she thought she was slick going against Alan Jackson, and she was in a manic episode, right? She thought that she was up. She thought she was so up. Look at me, say my name right, and you guys said that it's going to be perjury. She thought she was so up. She thought she was making a mockery out of the defense. But in reality, you dumb chick, that's what manicness does. You think you're up, but you're really down. You were really crashing. The question is, are you going to get back up after that crash out?
Right. This how you want to live out the rest of your career that you just started. I mean, it's not starting off well. She might please a few people in the line of doing what she just did. She probably, pleased about 50 to 100 piece of shit officers, but there's that other percentage that are really trying to do the right thing that they're just like, damn. Was that guy a cop that was Proctor's friend, or was he just one of his friends? I forgot. Like that dude seems like I
I
mean,
think he
I
was
have
a
no
cop.
problem. He is a cop?
No, I think he was. I don't think he's a cop no more. I don't know. I mean,
Oh,
regardless, he's Proctor's friend. He still said he's Proctor's friend. Fuck him too.
yeah. Yeah, he said he still talks to him to this day. But bro, a thread for 10 years, a text thread that you and your buddies just, had for 10 years, that's a long text thread. Imagine all the messages in there.
Hell yeah, bro. You think they're saying that about Karen Reed? Think about the stuff they when they pull people over. Then they had no respect for John's sister's husband. Said he OD'd over the grave.
Oh
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure right now, anyone that had Proctor, it's like the Andy Duke and shit, Jay, when that hit. Anyone that had Proctor, uh, you know, that he put in prison or had charges put against them, they are definitely trying to get their case overturned, I would guarantee.
Oh
Isn't
man, 100%, bro. On
Yeah,
1,000, that's mandatory, bro.
that's a mandatory, and especially when you're in jail and you ain't got
Hell
shit to
yeah,
do.
man. That's what happened with Sean Ellis, bro. That's the
Yep.
reason why they had you know what I mean? The same thing happened with Sean Ellis. The cops got found to be corrupt, so they had to let Sean go. You know what I mean? Like it was corrupt cops. It doesn't matter if you think Sean Ellis did it or you didn't think he didn't do it. The point is the cops are corrupt, and that's the same thing I've been saying. It doesn't matter which side of this shit you're on. If the police are corrupt, you gotta let the person go. That's the fucking law.
It's a
Like
law,
that's the
man.
law. Like it is what it is. Now I get it. Does if Karen did do it, right? Disclaimer. If
Disclaimer.
Karen did do it, then John doesn't get no justice. I get all that, right? But hey, that's the law. And that's the badge he put on, and that's what he honored. That's just the way it goes. And that to me, my opinion of it and your opinion as far as saying is it fair? If it's not fair, Well, that's the dialogue. That's what makes this case so unique. It opens up the conversation for everything. Just like Drea said, if someone's a lobbyist, if a young girl becoming a cop, if she gets sworn in like that and a commissioner pulls you in the room, does that make a young rookie become a fucking corrupt chick now? Is she gonna run around and arrest everybody for nothing and think she can get away with it? What's gonna be her mindset? How is she going to be loyal to her husband? How is she going to have babies? Like, does that affect her life? It opens up the dialogue. And that's why we got into it, right, James?
Yep, it's a good point. Everything that she's doing right now is reflection off her life. Like you said, a mom, whether she's a sister, whether she's an aunt, a daughter, whatever. Like you gotta have some kind of dignity. You can't just sell your soul for and watch a woman go off to do the rest of her life in prison because
Zero understanding, son. She don't give two shits, man.
right,
And that's the thing. I think everybody keeps saying we're forgetting that John's dead. I don't think that's really hard to forget.
can't
Like
forget that.
that's just something that no one wants to deal with. Like that's the way it goes with life and death. Like it's not really a John O'Keefe thing. It's just the way it goes. I mean, come on. We got 31 people in the chat, right? I mean, how many I guarantee out of the 31 people, there's probably only about 5 to 7 people that really go visit their loved ones in the grave. Let's keep it real. People die 2, 3, 4 years go by, you don't go by someone's grave. Right? It just is what it is. You try not to you don't want to go to the cemetery. You don't want to see the death. You don't want to live in that reality about death. It's just is what it is. It's the way we're programmed. Some people can handle it, most people can't. You know
Right,
what I mean? Most people can't. Some people won't get on an airplane because they're scared to death.
right,
Drea just said she don't want to jump on the pike because
yeah,
she's afraid she's going to get hit. I mean, and then you're going to go to a cemetery and see you know what I mean, and sit there and talk to a headstone. So I don't think it's the fact that we're forgetting about John. I just think that's what comes with death, man.
I,
They'll come to your funeral, but they won't visit you in the ground.
right,
That's a JFK bar, by the way. But so the point is, what I'm trying to make is yeah, I mean, but I think what we're really forgetting is because what we're really forgetting, and another thing that we tend to forget and that we don't talk about as much is that Karen, if she gets found guilty, she's going behind the wall. She's gonna
right,
get locked the fuck up. What's that gonna do to Karen mentally? Because Karen's on a high right now. Karen thinks she's Alan Jackson. I think she's forgetting that she's the defendant. You know what I mean? And that's real easy to forget, just like the cop who's up there thinking that the person she's looking at, Karen, is not really facing time like that, because she doesn't look like the ordinary defendant, like who's locked up, who's in shackles, or who copped the plea. She just looks like a lawyer. She looks like a responsible person. But the fact is, man, Karen's looking at 20 years. And I don't think we should forget that.
yeah, man. It's you got to keep that up front. As much as we got to keep John O'Keefe up front, you got to keep that up front too, because a woman should not have to go suffer the rest of her life in jail because of sloppy police work, something she didn't do. Number one, but just right now, even watching this live chat on what is this, Law and Crime, I'm I'm seeing like 50-50 right now. They're doing something where I don't know if there's a poll pause if necessary, but they got guilty, not guilty, 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 not guilty. They're just going, and it's pretty even. So I think we're back. Let's see.
Yeah, it's funny when you go to the bigger platforms, Court TV or Law and Crime, a lot of people think she's guilty.
Oh, why is it? Oh, okay. Took it off.
Are they back? They should be back. It's
Yeah,
2:05.
they're back.
Is it all the way? Till you got it up to speed?
Yeah, I think I got it on mute though.
I think you got it a little back though. I see the red line. It's not all the way to the end.
All right, Mr. Alessi, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Russell, we left off talking on the topic of differential
Or
diagnosis.
behind just a
and
little,
more
but you can hear it,
specifically,
Jay?
we were talking about the
Yep, good.
lower extremity, the leg, and you were mentioning we reoriented to Attorney Brennan's questioning in the area. Could you please describe for the jury your basis of differential diagnosis with regard to the lower extremities and the leg, and specifically with regard to the autopsy's analysis of that area?
Well, the autopsy doctor did a very thorough evaluation of lower extremities. And to include, the external examination, which is very important, as well as an internal examination of the extremities, the tissues beneath the skin in both legs.
And just briefly, how did she perform that internal examination beneath the skin to look at what was beneath the skin?
Well, to directly visualize those tissues, she had to open up the skin. So she opened up the skin in the legs from the buttocks right down to the bottom of the legs near the ankle, and then reflected or folded back the skin to examine if there were any injuries to the tissues underneath.
Were there any injuries to the tissues underneath from that examination?
There were no injuries that she mentioned, nor no injuries that I saw on the pictures.
And no injuries, did that include analyzing whether there was any inflammation?
No, you can't tell about inflammation, but I specifically looked at the area adjacent to a very punctate little abrasion on the knee. And I looked underneath of that area very carefully on the photograph, and there was nothing, no injury underneath, no bruising, no hemorrhage underneath that abrasion.
With regard to that, how did you describe that punctate? I want to make sure I got it accurate. By the right knee?
Abrasion.
Abrasion. Could you determine from that even the age of that abrasion?
I could not.
I have no further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. Brennan?
Here we go.
Could I inquire about scope?
See what type of-
Brennan, what up, buddy? Here we go with the fucking side bath. The side bath.
What do you ask? Can I acquire about the scope?
Yeah, the scope, like how deep you can go into something. I don't know.
Yeah. What up, T12? You're over there with that disaster still, huh? Another 2 weeks. He's out in Kentucky. And then back to Florida. Hurricanes, right? Was it a hurricane?
Tornado season, brother. I'm out here too, bro. They just hit a tornado, just hit Henry County. Weather gets crazy out here, son.
Flooding.
Yeah, not good. Not good. How's the weather today out there, man? Nice, huh?
Yeah, it's beautiful here today, man. It's beautiful.
Good shit, good shit. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See who's in the
Damn.
courtroom with what do you call it?
TB in there?
today? I thought I saw TB. He might have left because sometimes he leaves to go get his kids. I know. he has done that before. Disclaimer, I don't want to say if that's not true. But no, you know who was in there with Karen? The people I met them, Resistance to Silence.
Oh,
They
they're in
got
there. Yeah.
the woman Tracy and Dana.
Yeah, I don't know him, but I know what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I met them the night I was at the I forget what it was called, but it was a dinner. Calling all being said, there was a bunch of people out that way.
Right.
They act like it's so far to come here, but we go there. It's probably what, an hour and 15 if you just, I mean, you leave at a reasonable time. You get here probably under an hour, I think. We got out there pretty fast, but it seemed like the ride home was quick. I mean, long.
I used to drive up that way all the time, man, to Needham, bro. That's where my studio used to be. All my earlier shit. Used to go to Needham all the time. It's just a pain in the ass, bro. The traffic, bro. It's not really far, man. At nighttime, you can make it out to Denham in 35 minutes, man. Fast. If there's no traffic, 35 minutes, you there. Quick. But with that traffic, man, sheesh. Especially on, it's not even there, dude. If you leave like, as long as you leave like right after like, either, you leave around 10 a.m. or something, you're good to get up there. But it's just coming home. If you leave at 3, yeah.
Nice. Jackie said it's 83 in Chi-Town. I'm gonna have to grill some steaks. That's what I'm doing after this. Well, I think I don't know if they're doing it now. No. Just, this, what do you call it? StreamYard, Jay? It is. I thought I had a whole different, same stream as last time with all my videos in it, and I had to go into a whole nother stream. Pain in the ass.
You need to toughen the fuck up.
I know. I was crying.
Yeah, you were crying when you were burying that rabbit last night. That
What
Luna.
are you talking about, bro? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Luna's a straight rabbit killer. Them rabbits
Oh, no.
everywhere, too.
God damn. I mean, come on, man. Those dogs are bred to do that.
Yeah.
They're,
You ever
that's
see
what
the
they do.
dogs on like Facebook that go after the rats? Like they stick them in the dumpsters.
Yeah, that's what Luna is. She's a Wheaten Terrier. In Ireland, they put them in like farms, and they show at the end all the rats they catch. Man, it's crazy. I'd rather her get a bunny than a
A
rat,
rat. Yeah,
dirty ass
definitely.
rat.
There he is. Look at this guy.
Here he comes.
May I?
Yes.
Remember, he thinks Whitey Bulge is not a rat.
Right. Actually, today's the day where Whitey was caught around this time. This is a tough day for Hank. He probably goes to the gravesite after this.
Oh yeah, he thinks he's white.
Dr. Russell, I asked you questions about your past testimony regarding methodology. And when I asked you those questions and showed you some of your transcripts, would you agree with me that you have testified that there is no recognized methodology on diagnosing dog bite wounds?
No, I believe I said that there was no standard methodology or no standard guidelines as to how to diagnose dog bite wounds.
There is no accepted practice directing you on what is appropriate and what is not appropriate to identify a wound as a dog bite, is there?
There are no accepted standards.
When Attorney Lisi had you look at a couple of case files from the Journal of Legal Medicine, let me ask you about that. You're not suggesting that those articles substitute for the absence of standards in identifying dog bites from photographs, are you?
Before standards are created, there are usually articles that have recommendations upon which the standards are subsequently based.
That wasn't my question. So we're going to listen to the question, please.
Okay.
Those articles, whatever their value you think they are, they do not create a standard to apply for diagnosing or looking at a photograph and coming to a conclusion whether the abrasions are dog bites, do they?
Correct.
And so when he had you read pieces of these articles, had Attorney Alisi gone over these articles with you before?
Yes, we discussed them several months ago.
Did he point out parts of them he would like you to read?
I pointed out parts that I thought were significant.
In this article that was marked for identification, parts of it are highlighted. Who highlighted those parts?
Mr. Alessi highlighted those based on my recommendations.
So Attorney Alisi highlighted the parts he wanted you to read to the jury.
Yes, and I believe they were the same parts that I read last time.
Can we have Exhibit 1, please? Now, regarding the Munich article, that was a case study on the unfortunate death of a young girl, yes?
Yes,
Who was attacked by or bitten by up to 3 different dogs.
yes,
And it was a neck wound from which she bled.
yes,
Very, very unlike what you're looking at here.
yes. But that's very typical of an article, scientific article. They will present a case study and then present the research behind what they have seen in other articles and make recommendations.
I'm not asking you to defend that it's different. I'm asking you if it is different.
Oh, it is different.
Very different, isn't
Yes, that neck wound, yes.
it? Extraordinarily different.
Yes.
And so when you read this, let me ask you a couple questions.
This dude is such a shit.
In this article, it talks about the characteristics of dog bites, doesn't it?
Yes.
And it talks about the maxillary teeth distal to the mandibular teeth allow the so-called scissor bite.
Yes.
So when the dog clamps down,
What's
the
up,
teeth
Patrick?
kind of go to the side to tear the skin.
I didn't interpret it that way, no.
Okay. A scissor bite is when a dog bites down, yes?
Yes, I believe that what they were describing was the dog bites down.
And when it bites down, it anchors. That means teeth on the bottom penetrate, puncture, yes?
They can, but they don't always puncture.
And then the top is a puncture. If you're going to scissor, it requires a puncture, doesn't it?
It's a mechanism. It's a movement. What they're describing is a move. The way I read it, the way they described it is a movement like a scissor, where it's open and it's closed. It doesn't mean anything about how deep they penetrate.
There are no scissor bites on that wound, are there?
I don't know. I see 1 or 2 things that shown up what I think might be upper and lower. So it could be.
Would you define any of those abrasions as scissor bites, Dr. Russell?
We talked earlier about how these marks here may be lower. I'm not going to define it. No, I can't say for sure that there's a scissor bite, but I see things that appear to be characteristics of upper and lower teeth.
I'm asking you about scissor bites. Please listen to my question. There is nothing on that wound that is consistent with scissor bites, is there?
I don't know.
Well, you're the expert. So when you look at that, can you point whether there's any wounds that are consistent with scissor bites?
According to their definition, and that's not an accepted definition, but according to what they were describing, and I believe what they meant was an open and closing of the jaw as the scissor activity. I believe that there's possibly 2 areas where I see that.
You're now saying this article that you relied on redirect examination is not an accepted authority?
I'm not saying it's not an accepted authority. It is a peer review article.
The injuries caused involve a combination of biting, crushing, and tearing. Do you see any crushing or tearing in those abrasions?
There's no crushing or tearing here, but does not mean that there has to be crushing or tearing.
I'm reading your article. I'm just reading verbatim, and I'm asking you about it.
Yes, and I'm trying to explain so that nobody gets nobody misunderstands this.
Crushing and tearing that result in characteristic pattern of punctures. A puncture is when a tooth penetrates the skin and there's some depth to it, correct?
Yes.
Show me one puncture, anyone,
There
on
were-
that wound.
Okay, there are no punctures on this arm that I see. However, again, the wounds don't have to have every single characteristic. It is, it depends on the force of the bite, how the wounds are going to appear.
The injuries caused involve a combination of biting, crushing, and tearing that results in a characteristic pattern of punctures, lacerations, and avulsions. There is no punctures whatsoever in that wound. Would you agree with me?
I agree.
There are no lacerations in that wound. Would you agree with me?
I agree.
There are no avulsions in that wound. Would you agree with me?
I agree. However,
I'm just asking you the question, Dr. Russell.
So you can maybe ask her.
Specifically, this study says the injuries cause a combination biting, crushing, and tearing that result in characteristic pattern of punctures, lacerations, and avulsions. They name 3 things that are characteristic traits of a dog bite, and you would agree not one of those 3 traits is present on the arm of Mr. O'Keefe. Would you agree with me?
I agree. However, in that case, those were dog bites that killed the victim. In this case, we do not believe that these dog bites killed the victim.
When they were discussing this article on the victim who was killed, do you realize when they were giving background, this background has nothing to do with the case study? This is general background I just read. Do you realize that?
They were investigating fatal dog bites.
Do you realize that is not qualified in this article? You realize that?
I realize that they were commenting on fatal dog bites. This is not a case of a fatal dog bite.
This article, I'm going to show it to you. May I approach?
Yes.
In the highlighted paragraphs that Attorney Alisi had you read,
He's going head to head with this dude, though.
that is describing the background of dog bites, not this fatal attack. Would you agree with me?
The title of the, no, I don't agree.
I move to introduce this as an exhibit, please.
Mr. Leslie?
She's doing good, though, no? You're muted, bro.
Thank you. He thinks by saying, I would like to put this into evidence that it's going to scare her in some way. She still doesn't agree.
The crazy part about it is Hank Brennan, if he comes across another dog situation in his practice, he's gonna call her up for a witness. He's so dirty.
In
You
the
would,
other
too.
article that you read from,
He'll probably take her out
that
on a
was
date
highlighted
after
as
it's all
well.
said and
Who
done.
highlighted the portions you were to read?
Mr. Lessie.
You see that breathing exercise she does up there?
It describes that teeth from a canine create a stab wound-like skin laceration.
Yeah,
They
man,
can
you
do
gotta
that,
be-
right?
They
Gotta be on
can
point.
do
Do you
that.
see any stab-like wound lacerations to Mr. O'Keefe's arm?
No.
It talks
She's
about
real believable, though.
punctures. And again, we've discussed this. There is 0 punctures on Mr. O'Keefe's arm, correct?
Correct.
Drea said it best. Seems like he keeps asking the same question over
Same
and over
question
again.
over and over. He does. He asks it like 50 different ways.
She hasn't
Wasted
broken
time.
yet. She's saying the
You
same thing.
said that when somebody is in a collision, that they can suffer injuries such as bruising or breaks.
Yes.
We've also discussed when a person is impacted by a vehicle, it can result in a variety of different injuries or no injury at all.
Correct.
There's a number of dynamic factors involved that are very difficult to assess and predict, correct?
Correct.
And in this case, you did not do any accident reconstruction to try to identify the details of the mechanism of injury to John O'Keefe, did you?
I did not do accident reconstruction.
And so, having not done accident reconstruction, would you agree it's fair to say that you are not in an informed position to give an opinion as to how the injuries could or would have happened in this case.
I disagree.
Specifically, you were asked questions about the impact or collision in this case. How fast was the defendant's Lexus traveling when there may have been an impact in this case?
I understand possibly 24 miles an hour.
Who picked that number?
I have no idea.
Well, you heard it from somewhere and you've just given an opinion on it. Where is that number committed to or derived from?
I don't know.
Well, if you're going to give an opinion based on what you're portraying as facts to this jury, you should have some certainty about the source of your material, shouldn't you?
You know, I'm an ER doctor, so in the ER, I've treated thousands of motor vehicle accident cases, and most of the time, I do not know what speed the vehicles were going at. I've never done accident reconstruction. I don't know any ER doctor that does accident construction or is trained in accident construction. It's not part of the job.
I totally agree, but you're having opinions you're giving on behalf of Mr. Alisi, and that's why I'm pressing you on these issues. Do you know, you don't know the movement of John O'Keefe before any potential strike or collision, do you?
I don't know the movement of most of the patients I've seen in my life before or immediately after the impact.
Of course, you wouldn't know the body angle because you weren't there.
Right.
So when you're asked to give an opinion whether this was a clip or a direct strike, you're really not in a position, having not been an accident reconstructionist and not having been there, to give that type of information, are you?
I wasn't asked to give an opinion about whether this was a clip or a direct strike. I was asked to give an opinion about with these wounds caused by a motor vehicle collision.
So you would agree with me, you are not in a position, based on your opportunity to view evidence and your experience, to give
Yeah,
an
boss.
opinion
He's gonna get him right here. Here we go.
injuries
Get
would
him.
have
I'll
occurred
show you.
in this event.
What's this?
No, I disagree.
Nice.
And so you think you can give an opinion about the extent of injuries, even though you are agreeing, not only
Get
you're
him.
an accident reconstruction expert, you have no idea about the details of the collision in this case, Dr. Russell.
Mr.
Is
Brennan,
that true?
I have no details about the collision.
About what happened during the collision? You have no details about the body movement,
She's about to
the
go in, son.
placement,
About to get his
the
ass.
speed. You
Get
don't
his
have
ass.
any
Paul.
details that you know of other than what was told to you, correct?
Oh, Alessi, quick.
There are dozens, hundreds, thousands of motor vehicle accidents in which there are no lower body brakes. Fair to say?
Probably, yes.
You mentioned bruising. What do you do to treat for a bruise? If someone's has some type of pressing and the bruise before it really forms, what's the best way to treat it?
Well, it depends on the bruise. It depends on the location. It depends on whether or not there's continued bleeding in the soft tissues. It depends on whether there's compression of the blood vessels and or the nerves underneath. And then, and of course, you want to examine adjacent structures for fractures and other injuries. And then after all that, if you've ruled out major, other injuries, you treat the patient for pain.
You ever
There you go.
prescribe ice?
Oh, yes.
So if a person was lying prone in the cold winter on the front yard in the dirt and was being covered by snow, sub 32 degrees,
Oh my
the
God!
body
So the ice
temperature
helped
were
the
to
bruising.
drop
Ice helped him.
Fucking clown.
96.8 to about 80 degrees, would that have a similar effect to ice on the area that may bruise?
No.
Not
get your-
exactly. You want me to explain?
I do.
Okay, yes. So as the snowflakes fall, yes, there will be a gradual lowering of the body temperature
Bro.
and gradual effect on the body. Now, if as opposed to in the ER or in a
Direct
medical setting,
ice on.
if I or another practitioner, and by the way, nurses and nurse practitioners and PAs also treat dog bite wounds. But if another practitioner, a practitioner gives the person an ice pack, they get immediate coldness
Right.
and immediate significant change in temperature to that area.
Direct to that area.
assume the weather is so cold that the cell phone battery on someone's iPhone
Look at him trying to
begins
sneak that in.
plummet regularly in degrees.
I have
From-
no idea.
Snuck that iPhone in there.
Yeah.
Trying to remind everybody about that
When you came
iPhone.
to your conclusion, considering
Sneaky prick.
what you see in this picture, and
That's
Attorney
what he does,
Alisi was
man.
asking you about
It's all
fragments from a broken taillight, did you know or consider that Mr. O'Keefe, sometime around when he incurred these wounds, had a piece of glass stuck in his nose?
Uh-oh.
Sustained.
He's going to ask that again.
Finally, Dr. Russell,
Fine.
you said during your differential diagnosis, you consider information, you either weigh it, accept it, or you distinguish it and you disregard it, correct?
Yes, generally.
During your differential diagnosis, you've referred to a number of different people studies, things that you haven't done yourself, but you've looked at other people's efforts. One of the things you looked at was the deputy medical examiner from the Forensic Pathology Investigations Division of the Armed Forces, a person by the name of John C. Walsh, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow that.
Would you like me to ask that again, Dr. Russell?
No, you don't have to ask it. I read that report, yes.
And John C. Walsh is a doctor, correct?
Yes, that's what it says.
And do you have any understanding that he works with the Forensic Pathology Investigations Division of the Armed Forces?
Yes, and therefore his practice may be limited in scope.
Well, you are trying to qualify what he doesn't do. Do you know if his practice is limited in scope?
Typically, the medical examiners that work for the armed forces often have a specific practice that is limited in scope.
Do you know anything about Mr. Walsh and his practice?
No.
Why do you find the need to try to undermine the extent of his authority before you know anything?
Come on, Hank.
Sustained.
You don't know what his scope and practice is, do you?
No, but I always look at where the person works that writes the report in terms of physicians
And
and what their possible experiences are. You know, do they work in a medical examiner's office in Alaska or Hawaii or big city or a little town? I look at those things.
when you
You
consider
damn right you do.
his
Yes.
opinions after his review of these materials,
We know your practice is in
did
the
you
shitter, Hank.
consider when he offered in his report that multiple abrasions ranging in size from 2 to 3 millimeters up to 7 centimeters were documented on the decedent's right arm?
Yes.
These injuries do not photographically appear to be, nor are described as puncture bite wounds, and thus are highly unlikely to be the result of an animal bite attack. The abrasions are non-specific. Abrasions occur as the body moves over a blunt or rough surface such as a skinned knee. Did you read his report and consider it?
I did. However, I don't know if he's ever had any experience with dog bites examinations. So I had to consider that and weigh it.
Here you go.
Come on, Alessi, man. End this shit, will you?
Do
Come
it.
on.
Dr. Russell, there were questions with regard to highlighting of articles. Did I determine which parts were to be highlighted, or did I merely perform the function of highlighting the parts you wanted me to highlight because you didn't have a highlighting function with you traveling from California?
That is correct. It's the second one.
With regard to these articles, you mentioned a methodology in connection with them and a pattern recognition methodology. Was it the purpose of citing this article to say that they're just like this situation, or was the purpose to say that there is a methodology in the literature to determine how to determine whether a wound is from a dog?
Sustained is to the form.
Dr. Russell, what is the purpose? Let's just start with the Demunic article that was talked about, because these articles were discussed. What was the purpose of you citing to those articles?
The purpose was to identify that pattern recognition is an important component in identifying wounds, and particularly in dog bite wounds. It did not mean that the victim had to have every single characteristic that was listed. And it just was focusing on things to look for, and the patterns. It was not just that there's one individual wound that's going to be diagnostic, but that there are patterns for the physician to look for.
In terms of Attorney Brennan asked you, and so now with regard to the Pollock article, in terms of the Pollock article, is there any discussion in this article about whether the spectrum of injuries to which you can apply the mechanism of and the methodology, is there anything in there about whether the pattern of injuries can be diverse or whether they're all the same? Does Pollock speak to that?
He does.
And what does Pollock say about whether or not the spectrum of possible injury forms when you apply this methodology can be diverse? What does he say?
Well, he mentions about the actual surface of the body that is impacted, if there's any curvature to that surface, if there's any structures underneath that would affect the bite. So yeah, those are, and if there was material or textiles or fabric that were in between the bite and the skin. And there were other factors too.
Okay, thank you. Now, lastly, what I'd like to cover is Attorney Brennan discussed the Dr. Walsh. May I approach, Your Honor?
Okay. Did you show Mr. Brennan?
He's the one who gave me it.
Okay. I didn't know what you had.
Yes, thank you. So may I hand to the witness?
Yes.
May I stand here, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just step back a little
Yes.
bit.
Yep. Sorry, back to that. Dr. Russell, what I would like to do is to give the jury a fair
Objection.
I'll withdraw it.
Commentary, and I'd like to be heard.
Why don't you bring the reports over? Okay.
She told him, she told him, "Can you stand back?" He said, "Sure." And then he did one of these with his arm and was leaning on it. Man, I think that's why she just called it sidebar, because he was leaning on it. Shit is
I
crazy.
mean, damn, man. I think she got. I think he could have stopped at that point, man. I mean, she held her own, and she's believable.
Yeah.
She didn't. She's saying the same things over and over again. Like, listen, if you're in the know about dog bites, you're in the know. I
Yeah.
think the easy way to explain it is just that. If you're in the know, not everybody's in the know, man. Not everybody's into hip hop. Not everybody's into motorcycles. Not everybody's into weightlifting. If you're in the know, you're in the know. There's certain things you could speak on, certain things you can't, and it's like some people, some doctors, let's face it, you go to the hospital and you say, hey, I got this rash. They're not dermatologists, they don't know what it
No.
is. They Google it and they give you hydrocortisone cream and tell you to go home. Until you go to a dermatologist, you know exactly what it is, so to speak.
A perfect example, Jay, was when I went to Mass General when I had busted my ankle. And the best, they say the best doctors, surgeons, everything at Mass General, they told me that metal would never come out of my ankle. 2 years later, my body started rejecting the metal, and I went to some doctor in Everett Hospital, the Wooden Hospital, and he took all the metal out except for one screw, and it feels so much better. But it
There
just
you
goes to
go.
show you, yeah, like
Exactly. It's like
you never know.
I mean, how many people deal with dog bite wounds? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and especially when you're not going in there for that. There's someone who's dead. they're saying the dog wasn't involved. They're not giving, you know
They
what I
don't
mean?
know anything yet.
They don't
Really.
know. So, and then you got the cops saying she did this, she did that. So, how does a dog get involved if he's hit by a car? I mean, the whole shit is clunky, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if they were so sure, though, don't you think, too, if they were so sure that Karen had done this, that she would have been arrested right there? Like we always say, when she allegedly was saying, "Did I hit him? Did I hit him?" If you or I blurred that out, if a cop
Cuffed.
was laying on the ground, we are getting stuffed and cuffed, beat up, even if we didn't do it. And we just said that. I just don't understand how a police officer can take that stand, testify, and say, "I heard her say that," and that's okay. You heard her say it, but you didn't do anything about it. Come on, man. This shit is just crazy.
You know, it's back to, that's a great point. And hold on a sec.
Oh my Atlanta. Yes, she's been on the stand all day and all day yesterday too, Zep. Well, for a portion of the day yesterday. Sorry, T12. With you, redundancy will lose the juror's interest. Yeah, I mean, I think she proved her point at this far. I don't think she needs to say too much more. Either he was bit by a dog and you believe what Dr. Russell said. I mean, I don't know. I think
Exactly.
this is just how Alessi approaches things. He likes to really get that point across. But it's like, Alessi, calm down. You got it across, man. You did good. She did good. Whatever you two talked about on the
I
way in.
mean, she didn't switch up. She's saying the same thing over and over again. She's saying, I
Right,
can't tell you 1000% if it's bite marks, claw marks, but
right.
based on the pattern, the overall look of it, it's I would say it's dog bites. It's from a dog. But if you go sick, if you zone into one thing, I can't say 100%. If you zone into one mark, I can't say 100% what it is. But overall, the pattern, yes, it's dog. It's a dog.
Return next to the witness stand, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you. May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Russell, I am re-handing you this letter from Dr. Walsh. And what I am going to do, and you just tell me if I do it correctly, I'm just going to read 2 paragraphs, okay? And you just tell me if I'm reading it correctly.
JFK,
In
see this?
totality, the injuries documented in the autopsy report and photographs are non-specific and may be the result of a variety of different mechanisms. No additional information was provided regarding the
I
possible
appreciate
circumstances
it.
or events surrounding the death. The
The
absence
whole world
of
in a panic.
additional information prohibits the attribution of injuries
Thank
and
you, Drea.
contribution of findings to a specific underlying cause of death. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you, Dr. Russell.
All right, Dr. Russell, you are all set.
Thank you.
I'm going to have this.
Poor lady's been on the stand all day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here comes Lucky. Unless Bev's like, you know what? I'm going to call it a day.
Nah, she
Try
ain't
not,
calling it a day.
try not to go on your YouTube. I mean, if you do, just don't watch James Jackson and JFK.
And the next witness is
Ooh.
who's the next witness? Yes, just tell me the name
Nice.
because I need to know whether we need to go to sidebar first. Okay.
Who?
Thank you.
Officer Barrows? Oh, AJ got him too, Jay. I'm trying to remember who's Officer Barrows. Damn, Lucky's been there 2 days now. Just walk. He's been hanging with the boots on the ground outside, bro. God damn.
So you're gonna step up, face the front, and raise your right hand, please.
Mr. Holmes, the evidence you give to the court and jury in the case down here and the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Maybe see.
Good afternoon.
Oh, he was in the car, Jay, on the ride to New York.
All right, Mr. Jackson, you are all set.
Thank you, Your
Nah,
Honor.
he's the
Good
cop.
afternoon,
He's
sir.
the
How are
other
you?
cop.
Good afternoon, sir.
Could you please state your full name, spell your last name for the jurors, please?
Nicholas Barrows, Barros,
And where do you currently work?
the town of Dayton, Dayton Police Department,
How long have you worked for the Dayton Police Department, sir?
since 2011.
And what's your position there currently?
Currently, I am a sergeant.
What's your duty assignment as a sergeant? What do you do?
I supervise the 4 to midnight shift.
We'll get to that in a little bit more detail in just a second. A couple of more foundational questions. How long have you been a police officer altogether?
Since 2011, so going 14 years.
And what education and training and background do you have that qualifies you to do your duties as a sergeant, a supervisor at the Dayton Police Department?
I completed the police academy. I hold a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I've been to many trainings as a police officer and as a supervisor.
When did you get your bachelor's degree?
And I didn't see a
2012.
48 pieces.
Is the Dayton Police Department an autonomous police department for the city? In other words, is it a branch of, say, for instance, Massachusetts State Police, or is it an autonomous department?
It's on its own.
Okay. It's not in any way connected to the Canton Police Department, I presume?
Correct.
Is it in any way connected to the Massachusetts State Police
It
Department?
is not.
As a supervisor, are part of your duties to oversee subordinate officers in their daily fare, whatever that may be?
Yes,
Does that include anything having to do with crime scene investigation,
to an extent.
witness interviews?
No, that would be the detective bureau.
What about working and coordinating with detectives?
To an extent.
Collection of evidence or working with detectives as they collect evidence?
They would collect evidence.
Maintaining crime scene protocols, things of that nature?
Correct.
All right. As a sergeant with the Dayton Police Department, are you a trained observer?
I am.
Would you consider all of your subordinates, the patrol officers, day-to-day officers, are they also trained observers?
They are.
Is that part of policing?
It is.
Describe that a little bit for the jurors so we understand.
We are in the police academy. We're told to watch everything. It's our heads on a swivel. We are always looking because we don't know what the unknown is.
You don't think John O'Keefe's head was on a swivel that night?
You don't think Higgins was when he walked out the house?
All their heads were.
Later that may be needed in court.
Correct.
Correct.
I want to draw your attention to January of 2022, a few years ago. January 29th, 2022, did you have you personally, officer, did you have any personal relationship with the Canton Police Department?
I did not.
Did you have any personal relationship with a trooper from the Massachusetts State Police named Michael Proctor?
I did not.
Do you have any relationship with a person by the name of Brian Higgins, an ATF agent?
I did not.
Do you have any relationship with a Boston police officer known as Brian Albert?
I did not.
Did you know any of the
Higgins.
witnesses or individuals involved in an ongoing investigation related to the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe?
I did not.
On January 29th, 2022, did you receive some sort of a call to respond to a particular location? I don't want the address of the location. We'll get to that in a second. Did you receive some sort of a call in the afternoon?
I did.
Describe that for the jurors, please.
Around 2:30 in the afternoon, I received a call from the troopers assigned to the Norfolk District County DA's office in regards to a vehicle that was at a residence in the town of Dayton.
What were you asked to do? Why did you get that call?
The troopers said that they were coming into my jurisdiction, and as a courtesy, they wanted me to respond with them.
Is that sort of normal protocol? If you go into somebody else's jurisdiction, you let them know?
Yes.
So that was not necessarily unusual.
No.
About what time did you receive that first call?
The first call was around 2:30 in the afternoon.
Was there are logs kept of those kinds of things? If you get a call, you respond to
Yes.
location?
Yes.
At some point after you received that first call, did you receive any other call specifying a time of arrival for the MSP troopers, anything like that?
I did.
Describe that for us.
I got a second call around 3 p.m. From Trooper Michael Proctor stating that he was about 10 minutes away from the address in Dighton.
At the point that you spoke with Michael Proctor, had you ever spoken to him in your professional or personal capacity ever before?
Never.
Did you know the name? Did you know who he was?
I did not.
Complete stranger.
Complete stranger.
What time did you actually arrive at the residence?
I arrived at the residence, I believe it was 3:27 p.m.
Sergeant Barros, did you, I don't want the address, cameras are rolling. Did you respond specifically to a residence in the city of Dighton?
Yes,
Did you at that time know who lived at that residence, who resided there?
I did.
How did you know that?
Early in the shift, when I came on at 8 a.m., the midnight shift, the outgoing shift, had told me that a resident of Dighton at that address had called looking for a ride to Brockton Hospital.
Who did you know at that time, or who did you believe at that time to live at the address that you are now responding to?
William Reed.
That was Reed, R-E-A-D?
Correct.
Okay. Did you know anything about his daughter at that time, or did you just know the name William Reed?
I just knew William Reed, the name.
At the time that Michael Proctor called you, did he say anything about what his intentions were once he arrived at the location?
Yes, his intention was to retrieve a vehicle that he said was involved in a homicide.
Did he specifically say to you at 3 o'clock-ish in the afternoon, he intended to seize the vehicle?
I believe the first phone call, that was his intention.
Meaning all the way back to 2:30?
2:30 is when he first called me and said that they were coming to Dighton to retrieve a vehicle that occurred in a homicide in Canton.
And you understood that to mean what? Retrieve a vehicle?
Seize.
Thank you. What was your role once you arrived at the scene at the Reed household?
My role was Trooper Michael Proctor asked me to facilitate a tow to tow that vehicle.
Was that a private tow company?
Yes.
And when you say facilitate a tow, what does that mean?
He asked who we used for towing vehicles, and during that period of time, it was Diamond Towing.
Did Diamond Towing ultimately show up, a representative of that
They did.
tow company with a tow truck?
Correct.
A flatbed?
Yes.
Who was with Trooper Proctor when you arrived at the scene?
Sergeant Buchanan.
Had you ever met Sergeant Buchanan before?
Never.
Did you know him?
Nope.
Do you know him professionally or personally?
Never.
Had you ever spoken to him?
Never.
Ever? I'm so sorry. It's getting late in the day, and I guess I'm going too fast. Sorry, my fault. Let's start that just a little bit slower. Did you know him?
No.
Had you ever spoken to him before?
No.
Had you ever heard his name before?
No.
No relationship whatsoever?
None.
Same with Trooper Proctor?
Correct.
Once you arrived at the residence, did you have an opportunity to see the vehicle that was the focus of Trooper Proctor and Sergeant Buchanan's attention?
Yes. Once I arrived and I parked my cruiser at the end of the driveway, I observed a black Lexus SUV in the driveway.
What were you driving?
I was driving a Ford F-150 police cruiser.
A police cruiser that's a Ford F-150?
Correct.
They have those?
Yes.
Cool. Were you in full uniform?
Full uniform.
Gun, badge, the whole works?
The whole works.
Did you ever go inside the house?
Briefly.
What was the circumstance of going inside the house?
I went inside to let the troopers know that the tow truck operator was there. And I also went in to ask how we're going to get the tow truck into the driveway because there was about a foot of snow.
Okay. that sort of answers my next question. Did you see whether or not Trooper Proctor and Sergeant Buchanan actually did go inside the residence?
Yes, they did.
For the bulk of the time that they were in the residence, where were you?
Outside the residence.
Were you with the black SUV?
I was in the garage speaking to the defendant's mother.
The defendant's mom?
Yes.
Janet? Okay.
Yes.
Where was the SUV at this point?
In the driveway.
Did you have an opportunity to see the SUV?
I did.
Did you walk all the way around it?
Not all the way around.
Did you see the rear end of it?
I did.
Did you make note of the rear end of it?
Yes.
Oh, he took notes.
How long would you say you were at the location in a position to observe the rear end of that SUV? 2 minutes, 20 minutes, something in between, longer?
I would say not the entire time that I was there, but a good amount of time.
Long enough to see it was cracked.
More than a glance.
Yes.
Yes.
This is the afternoon of January 29th, 2022, correct?
Correct.
Before the vehicle had been seized formally by Trooper Proctor and Sergeant Buchanan, correct?
Correct.
Did you observe anything of note about the rear end of that black SUV?
Yes, I noted in a report that there was damage to the taillight,
Can you describe for the juror, by the way, which taillight are we talking about?
the right rear taillight.
Can you describe for the jurors what you noted in terms of the damage to the right rear taillight?
I noted that the report said that there was right rear damage to that taillight.
When you say damage, have you ever described that damage previously?
I have.
Can you tell us what that
Yep.
description is?
There was, it was damaged. The taillight was damaged, but there was a crack missing, but it was not completely damaged.
When you say there was a crack, do you mean there was a piece missing?
A piece was missing.
Can you describe for the jurors kind of what that piece looked like, how big it was, how small, the shape, as you call it?
The piece was about maybe this big,
Is that maybe the size of a dollar bill, maybe 6 inches?
6 inches.
And
or so.
how wide?
Maybe that wide, maybe 3 inches, 2 inches, somewhere in there.
I want to show you a photo. Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would like to
Here we go.
show Exhibit 13. It's been previously marked. Do you see
Is
what's
this what-
depicted in this photograph?
I do.
Oh man.
What does that appear to be, just generally?
The right rear taillight,
Of what?
the Lexus SUV.
Is that consistent with the black Lexus SUV that you saw at the Reed residence?
That was the black Lexus. That was not the taillight the day I was there.
Can you do me a favor, Mr. Wolf, with the court's permission? Could we zoom in on the right rear taillight, please?
Okay.
Wow.
Do you see the condition of that taillight as it's depicted in this photo?
I do.
Rock the fuck.
Sergeant Barrows, is this the condition of the right rear taillight when you showed up at the Reed household at around 3:15 in the afternoon on January 29th, 2022?
Absolutely not.
Oh!
What's different about this photo, sir?
Oh!
That
Oh!
taillight is completely smashed out.
Whoa!
Does it
No
appear
further
that there are
questions, Your
additional
Honor.
Pieces of taillight
Let's
that are
go.
removed from this taillight condition
On the sky
than when
right
you
here.
saw it at the Reed residence.
Sustained. Ask it differently.
Of course.
Damn,
it's
man, he's in the
objection.
scope now, dude. He better have two
Describe
guns on him.
specifically, other than the fact
You better be
that
carrying.
it's different, describe in
Let's
detail
switch.
for the jurors what is different about this taillight as it's photographed here.
That middle section was intact when I was there.
Oh,
Towards that right side where that large chunk is, that's what was missing.
I'm going to hand you
God
a
damn.
green laser pointer. If you
Wow.
can, there's two displays, one monitor directly in front of you and one to your right. If you could use the one to your right, it's a little easier on the jurors.
where the hell was this
Describe
guy last try?
what's different about that
He was
taillight.
here?
He was?
Yeah.
Can you see that? So this area was intact. This
Time
is
and
what
Jay,
I saw was
like
missing
you always say.
here.
May I approach?
Yes.
Me too.
Yeah, drink
Yeah,
that
hope that-
Hennessy.
If the
brother.
entire
Put that
tail
guy
light had
Hennessy
been
in it.
broken out as it's depicted in this photograph, would you have made note of that?
Sustained.
Do you believe you would remember if the tail light, well, let me ask it a different way. The piece that you saw missing, but not completely damaged, is the reason that you use the phrase not completely damaged to highlight the fact that there was still more taillight attached to the vehicle than is depicted in this photo.
Sustained.
Why?
You can take this down. As you sit here and recall back to that, your observations, and you observed this for over the course of how long would you say? How many minutes?
Probably 20 minutes or so.
You actually wrote a report about this, correct?
Correct.
And you documented your observations, correct?
Correct.
Wow.
In your documented observations, did you use the phrase cracked but not completely damaged?
I did not.
Sustained.
You've testified previously,
I have.
about a year ago.
Yes.
Did you use the phrase cracked but not completely damaged then?
The objection sustained, Mr. Jackson.
Ultimately, was the black Lexus SUV towed and cleared from the scene?
It was.
Is it your responsibility or part of your responsibility to log the time that things like this happen? Like, for instance, the SUV is taken away?
When I clear from the scene, yes.
What time was that when you cleared the scene?
I believe it was 4:17 p.m.
Suffice it to say that SUV was not seized at a later time, correct?
Correct.
It was not seized at 5:30 p.m.?
No.
I'd like to show you another exhibit, if I could. This is exhibit 105. Do you recognize this scene generally?
I do.
Do you recognize it as being, what do you recognize as being?
This is the Reed residence.
Do you see some vehicles in that still shot of the video?
I do.
Describe what you see.
That tow truck is Diamond Towing, and that other vehicle that's at the rear of that tow truck is the Lexus SUV.
If we could, with the court's permission, zoom in. It's high on the screen, correct?
What's that?
The vehicles are high on the screen as we're
Correct.
looking at it. Could we zoom in to the top left portion of the screen?
Okay.
Can we play this video?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you see what's depicted in
Come
the
on, dude.
still image of that video right now?
I can.
I'm going to ask you if you'll turn to your right, concentrate on this area,
Get close.
this area here. Do you see what's depicted in that still image?
I do.
Does that appear to be a taillight?
Yes.
Does it look clear? Does it look like it's shining red?
Looks clear.
The portion that is intact, does that appear to be brighter red?
Correct.
And the photograph that I just showed you a second ago, is that red portion there?
Can you rephrase that?
Sure. Let's go back. You see the red?
Yes.
All right. Is that the condition of the taillight as you saw it on January 29th around 3:15 or 3:30 when you got to the location?
It was.
Let's go back to the other exhibit, please. Exhibit 13.
Yeah, that was the 3-point
Zoom in,
turn too.
please. And you see that this entire area is now missing?
I can.
Sustained.
Got it out.
Sure. The area that I'm circling here, do you see any red lens in that area?
No.
Is that consistent, this photograph consistent with the condition of the taillight as you saw it on January 29th, 2022, at just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
Absolutely not.
Oh shit!
Absolutely not. Come
Not even
on
a
now.
no.
What?
Absolutely. Shit.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Oh,
Have we
here we
met
go.
before?
We have not.
Oh, have we met before?
Do you still work in Dayton?
I do.
At the
Not
time
no more,
you
I'm
went
getting
to
you fired.
the Reed residence, you did not know the occupants?
I did not.
Since then, have you ever met
I'm
or spoke
taking some
to
calls right now, so.
William Reed
Nope.
or the defendant?
Nope.
When you went there that day, it was at the request of the state police?
Correct.
When they asked you to come, it's a typical procedure for one law enforcement agency to contact local law enforcement agency?
Correct.
And part of the reason they do that is to bring in separate and independent law enforcement officer to the scene
Yes.
because it's your jurisdiction.
Correct.
And they called you before they got to Mr. Reed's house, didn't they?
Yes.
They told you what they were going to do and when they were going to do it.
Yes.
They didn't just show up at the Reed house and then you found out later. They invited you and informed you what the process was going to be.
Trying to rehabilitate.
I wouldn't say that they told me what the process was going to be.
When you got there,
Nice.
were the troopers already there or did they arrive after you?
The troopers were there.
Were they in the house or outside of the house when you got there?
They were outside in a pickup truck.
Did you see them get out of the pickup truck after you got there?
They got out after I identified themselves.
Did you ever see them approach and touch the rear taillight of the defendant's Lexus?
I did not.
Did you ever see them manipulate in any way that rear taillight of the defendant's Lexus?
I did not.
Did you see them do anything that was suspicious, inordinary, or unfairly remarkable relative to that car?
I did not.
It didn't
When
happen
they
there,
spoke to
Hank.
you, they then went inside the house.
At the same time as they didn't know they were going to break it that
After
bad.
they introduced
Fucked
you,
up.
introduced yourself to them, they went into the Reed house
Yes.
and then they came out.
You can't break
They
that
came out much later.
in a
And
perfect
that
way.
vehicle was
However,
towed.
those break
At
different
no
every time you
from when
smash
you
it.
got there until you left, did you
You took a
see
chance.
anybody from the state police in any way tamper with that vehicle, did you?
I did not.
When the vehicle was towed, do you know how long it took to take the vehicle from Dayton back to
Come on, he's
Canton?
gonna say shit fell out.
How long?
Yes,
I do not.
you didn't escort it back.
I did not.
You had an opportunity to write a report in this case, didn't you?
I did.
And when you did, you had an opportunity to describe the damage to that taillight in any way you wanted to.
I did.
You could have gone into detail about size of the damage.
I could have.
You could have gone into detail about the shape of the damage.
I could have.
You could have gone into detail about the width of the damage.
I could have.
You could have taken photographs of the damage if you wanted to.
I could have.
In fact, there was no limitation on what you could have written in your report regarding the damage, was there?
No.
You write reports regularly, don't you?
I do.
You're trained at the academy. It's the best way to memorialize events.
Correct.
Because in time, your memory is not always as good later on than it is at that moment.
Correct.
What might be important or remarkable later might not be remarkable at the time you're making the observation.
Correct.
So you're taught at the academy to use as much detail as you can so that you can have an accurate memory later on.
Correct.
Because oftentimes, well, you respond to a number of different events and incidents, don't you?
I do.
You write a lot of reports.
Not necessarily now in this position that I'm in, but
Did you at the time?
at the time, correct.
Yeah. And so it's sometimes difficult to remember the details of all events, and you use the report to refresh your memory.
Correct.
When you wrote your report, and you could have put as much detail as you wanted, is it fair to say you only wrote one single line about the damage to the car?
Correct.
The vehicle had damage to the right rear taillight.
That's what I wrote.
Fair to say you didn't document that it was the size of a dollar bill. You didn't say that, did you?
No.
Or that it was 3 to 6 inches. You didn't mention that, did you?
No.
You didn't mention the placement of where the damage was.
To an extent, I did the right rear tail light.
Right rear taillight. You didn't indicate if it was on the side or on the back.
I did not.
You didn't provide any other details of your description when your memory was probably at its best. True?
True.
And would you agree that your memory that day was probably much more accurate than it is today?
I would not.
When you wrote the report, Did you ever have an opportunity to write a supplement report if you wanted to give more detail?
I guess I could.
You didn't.
I did.
Inevitably, you were a witness at trial. I'm sorry, you were a witness at a.
Oh, you
prosecuting
slipped it out.
Correct.
You came in and you swore under oath regarding your
You
memory.
slipped it out, Hank. You scumbag.
Correct.
And that was probably a year to a year and a half after you first made the observations, which you reduced in writing in the police report.
Correct.
And when you made those observations, that was on January 29, 2022?
Correct.
When you came into court and you testified, that was on June 10, 2024.
If that was the date.
You were asked questions to use your best memory to describe the damage to that taillight last time you swore under oath to tell the truth, weren't you?
I don't think I was asked that.
But were you asked about to describe the best you could the damage to that right rear taillight last time you were in court on June 10, 2024?
I don't think I was told to describe it in depth.
Would you ask questions about the damage to that rear taillight last time you were in court?
I was.
And when you described the damage, did you do your best of your ability to give as much detail as possible?
I did.
Did you qualify your memory at that time, saying to the best of my ability and recollection?
I did.
And when you qualify as a police officer with the best ability and recollection, that is recognizing that time had passed,
Time has passed, yep.
that you had a report, that you could refresh your memory.
Correct.
And did you refresh your memory with that report before you testified last time?
I did.
And when you qualified that it was to the best of your ability and recollection, that account for the fact that when you looked at the report, there was no detail other than your commentary in your report that the vehicle had damage to the right rear taillight.
Correct.
And so when you qualified, you were considering human factors like time had passed,
Correct.
that your report was respectfully scant,
Correct.
that you had heard a lot about this case since that point, hadn't you?
Correct.
And so considering your memory in June of 2024, when you qualified your answer, was it considering all of those different factors that had passed in between that time?
Can you rephrase that?
Yes. When you decided to qualify your answer and you said to the best ability and recollection, and then you went on to describe what you remember from the break of the taillight, the reason why you used that qualification to the best ability and recollection, is it because of those human factors that had passed?
I would suppose so.
And sir, since the time you came into court on June 10, 2024, have you spoken to anybody from the defense about this case?
Yes.
How many times have you spoken to somebody from the defense about this case after you gave your testimony on June 10, 2024?
Once.
Where did you speak?
Man, this question's getting old.
Attorney Jackson.
Did you speak to him in person or on the phone?
In person.
Okay, okay. You're not hesitating, are you?
No.
Where did you speak to him in person?
Look at him.
At his hotel.
How did you know where Attorney Jackson was staying?
He told
him.
Did you find it odd to go visit an attorney at their hotel and talk about a case?
It was in their conference room.
Find it odd. Go to somebody's hotel and speak to them about a
Do you
case.
find it odd
No.
to go to Whitey Bulge's grave?
Without saying the name of the hotel, where was the hotel located?
Boston.
And where were you located?
I don't feel comfortable telling you.
I'm sorry. Did you have to drive?
I did.
So you took the effort to go to see Mr. Jackson at his request. Did you know who Mr. Jackson was?
I did.
You seen him on TV?
Oh,
I did.
Come on, this
When you
TV.
went there to the hotel in the conference room, who else was there?
Attorney Little.
Okay. Who else?
I'm not sure of the other gentleman's name.
It was one of the gentlemen right here on the end.
The
The good-looking one down there on the right.
Oh, it was not.
He said the good-looking one down
Somebody
there
else.
on the right.
Was there anybody else there?
No.
Hank,
When you were in that conference room, were you shown your police report?
No.
Were you shown your testimony from the last time you came to the court?
No.
The photograph of the vehicle in Sally Port, the vehicle with the missing glass, were you shown that?
No.
Had you ever seen that photo before?
Of course.
And you saw it at the last event you testified at, right?
Correct.
And when you were shown that photo during your prior testimony, you never, ever, ever suggested that that was in any way different than what you had seen in that.
I mean, I'm assuming.
Nobody asked me that.
When you were asked to describe the damage, and you were shown that photograph, you never, ever suggested that there was a difference in the damage as you see it in that photo compared to what you remember, did you?
I don't think anybody asked me to describe that.
Did you ever make a note or say anything that is dissimilar to what you remember at the last event that you testified at?
I testified that that was not the taillight the day that I saw it.
That's what you testified at the last event?
Did.
Yes?
Yes.
You said that photo does not depict what you saw?
Correct.
Yes?
Yes.
Oh,
And
there
when
comes-
you testified to that at the last event, who was asking you that question?
District Attorney Lally.
Okay. And you remember making that comment under oath?
I do.
Do you remember that as well as your memory about what the taillight looked like back in Dayton?
I do.
When you were asked questions about that taillight, you had described the taillight
There's a crack.
as not
Appreciate
completely
you.
damaged. It was cracked, and there was a piece missing, but not completely damaged.
Yeah.
Remember that testimony?
I do.
And is that accurate testimony?
It's accurate.
I mean, what did you just prove?
So in your memory, in June 10, 2024, was that vehicle's rear tail light had a piece missing, correct?
Correct.
You said that your memory about the damage to the tail light, as you recall it when you were in Dayton back on January 29, 2022, you said your memory is as good as your memory that you said in court there was a difference between that photo and the damage, right?
Right.
Any for the boys?
Damn. Right? Any for the boys?
Have you ever read your testimony
Police
from your
take
last
boys
proceeding?
in the shower.
Never.
Disclaimer.
But you have a specific memory of discussing that specific photograph? Yes?
Yes.
Man, he saw it in real time, Hank.
Can I approach?
Yes.
I'm going to show you your transcript of sworn testimony on June 10, 2024. And when you reflect on your memory, understanding some time has passed, you testified that the memory of distinguishing that photo is reflected in your testimony, right? Yes.
Ask the question differently.
Okay.
Your memory is that you discussed the distinction between that photo and what you saw at the last time you testified. Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
And I should take a look at that. Could you show me anywhere in your testimony? Anywhere. Where you made any statement about that photo being inconsistent with what you saw in Dayton on January 29th?
We're going to hold you to that, Rambling Rome. See that, Jay? Beach party.
Nice.
What's Hank trying to prove? Did he say something different last time?
He didn't say that the tail light didn't look like the photo because they didn't do that. He just said it had a crack in it last time. They didn't put the photo up on the screen, and he didn't say
Uh,
that. Like I don't know if I don't remember if they put it up on the screen or not, but he said it had a crack. He didn't say it didn't look like that. Like he's saying the same thing, but he didn't word it the same way he said it this time. So Hank's just trying to cross him
trip
up
him
and
up.
make
Yeah.
him seem like a liar. But
Yo, he's not gonna go up there and risk his
twice.
his whole shit, man. He's going back to work with these guys now. They're gonna be all over him. He's not doing that.
He's got to walk by them all too.
Yep. You could tell like he's
not
down
in
to
there.
earth.
Yes.
What did he say? Did he say it's on there?
I can put it back on. Thank you.
I thought he said done. I don't know.
So respectfully, sir, your memory about distinguishing that photo is not as you thought it was and claimed it was in this transcript, correct?
Correct.
And that's not a matter of you trying to fool anybody or lying, is it?
No.
No, it's a matter of time passes and memory fades. Yes?
Yes.
And that's one real example why the academy, they teach you when you write reports to be as detailed as you can, to accommodate the fact that memories can fade, right?
Correct.
Memories can change.
I know what I saw, and that wasn't it.
Well, that's not what I'm
Nice.
asking you, because you just
There you go,
testified
buddy.
that on the road you had looked at that photo and distinguished it, but that's not accurate, is it?
No.
And so it's not a matter of you perjuring yourself or lying, it's a matter of difficulties with memory. wouldn't you say?
No, it's
Okay.
And
Correct.
you share those same
don't
memories
get
and
scared, dude.
Objection.
Sustained.
You
You're not
have,
getting scared.
as is human nature, difficulties with memory at times, correct?
Correct.
And so that very certain memory you had about your testimony last year, fair to say that never happened.
Correct.
You were simply mistaken, weren't you? Or something more, please tell me.
Correct.
What?
What did he say?
Correct.
Correct
You're
what,
simply
bro?
mistaken.
When you met with the attorneys in Boston,
Wow.
what'd you talk about?
It was just a way for them to meet with me and see me face to face, and then ask me how I would be subpoenaed, who would they need to send a court summons to, what my schedule was like coming up in the next month, months.
Those things all could have been accomplished by phone, correct?
Could have.
So the face-to-face meeting, what did you talk about? Objection.
I'm going to allow it.
Over here. What did you talk about? Excuse me.
So that, okay.
Over here.
What happened when you said mistake? What did he say mistake? What did he ask him when he said?
He asked them, so basically you can forget and you basically don't remember what you saw last time. And he said, correct. So now he's backpedaling, saying that he basically, because he goes, you're not perjuring yourself. It's just a matter of that you don't remember and you forgot. Is that right? And he said, correct. He said exactly, actually. So, I mean, I don't know, bro. It just looks crazy. Why would this guy come in, say all that, but then backpedal and say correct?
He's
I
not
have a bad
backpedaling
memory.
though. He's
He
not
just did.
backpedaling.
He did with the
No, he did.
memory.
He's saying that with the he didn't. That's not what he's saying though. He's just answering questions. He's answering random questions about memories and this and that. Then he said, "I'm sorry." No, he said, "I know what I saw." He's basically because the last testimony was different. So he's saying that he said in the last testimony that he said the same thing. Remember, he said, "I said that's not the way the tail light looked," and then he said, "Show me where you said that," and he didn't say it. So he's basically saying you don't remember saying that last time, and you thought you did because your memory's not good, right? And so it's fair to say whatever you're saying now, your memory's not right.
You told us there was some background about being subpoenaed and time. Substantively, what did you talk about with the attorneys when you met them at their hotel conferences?
Other than that, they didn't go over my testimony. We just spoke about that. I said that the taillight was not completely damaged.
Okay. Did you get into any detail about the conversation about your testimony today?
No,
When did you meet with them?
I don't have the date.
Last year, this year?
I don't have the date. I don't recall the date.
I'm not looking for a date, just the general year frame. Last year, this year?
Why doesn't he want to say it, man?
Probably June, early in this year.
Are you having some difficulty with memory about that as well?
Oh,
On
shit.
a certain date, yes.
Not a certain date. Was it this year probably? Do you think you met them this year?
This year.
Fucking Hank.
Do you know what month you met them this year?
I wouldn't know the month.
Certainly you talked about this issue with the taillight, didn't you?
Yes.
When you talked about the issue with the taillight, did anybody from the defense offer you any opinions or information?
No.
Did they ask you questions about it?
No.
So you went to a meeting in a Boston hotel.
You didn't talk about the taillight?
And nobody talked about the taillight? Objection.
I'm going to allow it.
Another question instead? Have you had an opportunity to see other evidence of that taillight being damaged that morning before you saw it?
On the 29th of January? No.
The video that was shown to you with the tow truck, had you seen that before today?
Yes.
Who showed it to you?
From seeing it on TV, and
Was it shown to you during your conference room meeting at the hotel?
it was not.
So you looked and studied and watched this case a little bit?
With all due respect, sir, I don't live under a rock. It's all over social media and the news. You can't avoid it.
I'm not criticizing you or discounting you, I'm just asking you. Have you been exposed to this case since you made those observations on January 29, 2022?
I have.
Have you seen other video footage and evidence about that taillight since January 29, 2022?
I have.
Have you seen other information since you last testified last summer about the taillight?
I have.
And seeing this extraneous information, this other information, do you think that played a part in some of your difficult memory? Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
Your Honor, can we approach?
Okay.
Fucking AJ for the save right there.
Yep. I mean, why is Hank doing this defense work, man? Look at Paul smiling.
What do you mean defense work? What are you talking about?
Like he's acting like he's still a defensive, like he's
Yeah,
not
but he's on cross. That's what he's supposed to do.
man.
See, DAs, you got to understand, most DAs don't know how to cross, bro, because they usually take pleas, man. 95% of the cases are pleas, and 95% the DAs call everybody on direct. So their cross is weak. This dude's good. That's why they hired him. They hired him for the cross.
He's a special prosecutor.
That's what I'm saying. They hired him for the cross. I mean, this is what you're going to get. What do you think you were going to get? He's a savage, bro.
You've seen quite a bit of information about this case and the issue regarding the taillight since you first made the observations back in 2022. Wouldn't that be fair to say?
It would be fair to say.
And based on all the additional information you've read,
That affects your memory.
would you agree it's had some effect on your memory?
Don't answer that.
I guess.
Ah!
Yes, you testified that you made explanations at the last trial that you did.
Say no, motherfucker. Just say no.
Correct.
You had a memory as you testified in direct examination under oath, and you tried your best about things that just didn't happen, right?
Right.
Would you agree that you have some difficulty with your memory?
I'd agree.
What?
I want to show you some evidence of that taillight.
He's trying to be
before
honest,
you had
bro.
a chance to see it in Dayton. If we could have the ring video at 5:07:58, please. Have you seen this video before, sir?
I have.
Hank loved
Or you've
this
seen it
video.
somewhere? Have you seen this on social media?
The news, social media.
Has anybody else shown you this video?
No.
How many times do you think you've been exposed to this video?
Too many to count.
Because you were involved in this case. And I think
You're feeding right into what he's trying to do, my dude.
I'm not suggesting any impropriety, but because you were involved in this case and issues regarding the taillight, do you think you had a particular interest when things like this came on TV and social media to take a look?
You're letting him keep going,
Did I
man.
have a
Yes.
particular interest? No, I didn't. I didn't follow this case
But you've seen this many, many times.
because of what is out there on social media and the news.
I understand. Who's like this, please? Stop, please. Do you see that white part of the back rear right taillight? Objection.
I'm going to allow it.
You see that? Sir?
Can you zoom in a little bit more? I can.
You can or cannot?
I can.
You can. C-A-N can?
Yes.
Thank you. Continue, please. Continue. Stop it. Can you bring it back, Mr. Stone? Back more. Open, right there. Zoom, please. You see, sir?
I can see that.
Is that consistent with the damage that you saw when you looked at that Lexus in Dayton hours later?
Consistent.
Can we go to Exhibit 10, please? And before you show it, I have a couple questions. This was a snowstorm, kind of like a blizzard that day.
Yes.
And when you got to the driveway, it had not been shoveled or plowed.
Correct.
There was quite a bit of snow accumulating and ongoing.
Yes.
And there was snow coming down on top of everything, the ground, the streets, the cars, correct?
Correct.
And snow was accumulating, did you notice, on cars and packing onto cars?
Yes.
When you looked at this house, when you looked at the defendant's Lexus in Dayton, you didn't go over and scoop out any of the snow that was in that broken taillight, did you?
I did not.
You didn't try to remove any snow off it or that was accumulated inside of it?
Don't say
I
the
did
snow
not.
was in the tail light.
Snow that was, there was snow packed on that car, wasn't there?
There was.
There was snow packed around the light, wasn't it?
There was.
And would you agree with the snow, since you didn't tamper with it or try to remove anything, that could impede your ability to accurately observe the depth of the damage? Would you agree with that?
I would.
If we
Oh,
could have
shit.
Exhibit 10, please.
God damn.
I knew he was going to backpedal, bro.
He's not
That appeared to
backpedaling,
be
bro. He's telling the
same
truth.
Lexus you looked at when it was
Well,
in Dayton.
you know, yeah, telling the truth.
And it's a far view, so I don't want you to guess. If you're not sure, you can tell me.
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I can't.
Okay, Exhibit 11, please. Can you take a look to the right? You see that right tail light, the white part
I can.
missing? Yes?
Looks like snow is packed on it.
Does it look like there's a red tail light there?
Does not.
This is before you saw the car indictment. Do you know that, or you wouldn't know that?
That doesn't look like the Reed's driveway.
Do you know if this photograph was taken before or after you made your observations indictment?
I do not.
The right rear tail light in the missing parts there, is that consistent with what you saw around 3:27 on January 29, 2022?
Yes.
Oh. No, that's good.
I have no further questions.
Okay, lights on, please, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be brief. Sergeant, did you celebrate your birthday 2 years ago?
I did.
Kind of a big deal. It's your birthday, right?
Yes.
What day of the week was your birthday 2 years ago?
No idea.
You have a difficult memory, sir?
Yes.
The fact that you had a birthday, you recall, correct?
Correct.
The day of the week of that birthday may fall by the wayside in your mind, right?
Right.
Sustain is to the form, Mr. Jackson, is
Of
your
course.
witness.
The fact that you can't remember the day of the week, does that mean that you have a bad memory?
Objection.
I'm going to allow it.
Nice.
Correct.
You remember being in Dighton, correct? Being called out to Dighton, to the residents of the Reeds.
Correct.
Do you remember the time?
I do.
Do you remember the weather?
I do.
Do you remember who you met there?
I do.
Do you remember the conversations that you had?
I do.
Do you remember the phone calls that you received?
I do.
The first one?
I do.
The second one?
I do.
Do you remember being in the garage and speaking with someone?
I do.
Remember it was this lady, pretty lady right here in the blue?
I do.
You remember meeting Mr. Reed?
Briefly.
Handsome gentleman with the gold tie? You remember all that?
Oh, gee.
Do you remember the SUV?
I do.
Do you remember the condition of the taillight?
I do.
Nice.
You were asked whether or not you saw Trooper Proctor in any way manipulate that right rear taillight while it was out at Dighton, while you were there, correct?
Correct.
You said no. Honestly, I never saw him touch it, right?
Correct.
Were you in the Sallyport in Canton PD? Sorry, in Canton, in the Sallyport at the police station
Objection.
I wasn't.
at 5:30 p.m.?
Sustain.
Come on.
At any point, did you ever go to the Sallyport at Canton PD that day?
I did not.
Do you have any idea what did or didn't happen inside the Sallyport?
Objection.
Sustain.
That's where it happened.
You were asked by Mr. Brennan, you could have taken photos had you wanted to, correct?
Correct.
And certainly you could have, right?
Correct.
Was that your vehicle that was being seized?
No.
You were simply there to assist another officer, right?
The form, Mr. Jackson.
Of course. What were you there to do?
Just to assist another agency.
Would it have been normal protocol for you to photograph that vehicle?
No.
Did you see Trooper Proctor photograph the vehicle?
No.
Did you see Sergeant Buchanan photograph the
Great question.
No.
By the way, you and I did meet once before, correct?
Correct.
Was that before or after you testified last year at another hearing?
After.
And you were called by whom last year at the other hearing? The defense?
The Commonwealth.
The Commonwealth.
You testified for them?
Correct.
So that's stricken. It's beyond the scope.
Why?
Did the Commonwealth ever contact you after your testimony at the hearing last year?
They did not.
Did they ever call you on the telephone?
After?
Correct.
No.
Did they ever send you a subpoena?
No.
And you testified last year that the taillight was cracked, but not, or damaged, but not completely broken, correct?
Sustained.
You and I met in a hotel in a conference room, correct?
Correct.
Anything sketchy or nefarious about that?
No,
Did I introduce myself to you?
you did.
You happen to know I live in Los Angeles?
Correct.
I don't have a house, right?
Correct.
I don't have an office out here, correct?
Yes.
Sustained.
Do you know whether or not I have an office?
I do not.
Do you remember me asking you if you would mind meeting at a hotel where I was staying in a conference room?
I do.
Okay. Do you have any problem with that?
Nope.
Did you find that unusual?
No.
Did you and I ever speak, ever, before your testimony last year?
No.
Did I ever tell you how I wanted you to testify?
No.
Did I ever tell you what to say?
No.
Did I show you any testimony?
No.
Did I play you any video?
No.
Did I show you a single photograph?
No.
During that conversation, did you tell me how to subpoena you?
I did.
Did you tell me where the subpoena should be directed?
I did.
Did you tell me your vacation schedule?
I did.
Did you tell me your availability and willingness to testify?
I did.
Did we talk about any other thing of substance other than that and whether or not you recalled what your testimony was from last year?
That was all we talked about.
All reasonable questions.
He's got one last one that's going to be a power play.
As you
Watch.
sit here, Sergeant
Here we go.
Barrows,
This is it.
do you have any difficulty recalling what the condition of that taillight was on January 29th,
20 and 22.
at about 3 or 3:15 in the afternoon when you saw the video? Any
No.
difficulty whatsoever?
No.
You remember the condition of that taillight?
I do.
Was the condition of that taillight the same as the photo that I showed you on my direct examination?
No.
You would agree that your memory has changed since last time you testified in this courthouse.
Yes.
In the photo I showed you, the close-up with the missing right rear taillight, is that consistent with your memory of what you saw in Dayton on January 29, 2022?
Objection.
I'm going to allow it. It was opened up.
Objection on evidence.
It was opened up.
Is it consistent with what you saw on January 29, 2022?
It is.
Thank you.
All right, Sergeant, you are all set.
Thank you.
All right, so jurors, I know I need to talk to the lawyers about a couple of things, so this seems like a good spot to just send you home for the day rather than bringing you out witnessing. So those same cautions, please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into the case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know, and be careful with your social media. Remember, tomorrow's a half a day. We'll finish by 1.
All rise for the court, please. Closing nobles and follow me.
He talked about social media so much. The first thing they're doing is going back to
That's
social
it.
media.
I mean, shit, you remember being a kid and they tell you, you know, don't do this, don't do that. The first thing you want to do is do it, you know.
But I'm saying the cop, he talked about social media. He said everywhere
Yeah.
you go. So, I mean, they're going to be like, oh, I got to go see that video that's out there. I want to go see. I want to zoom in some more. I want to see, like, oh, shit, that's
His
interesting.
exact words, Jay, were, with all due respect, sir, I don't live under a rock. It's out there everywhere. But it wasn't last trial. It is now. Thank God. But it wasn't as big as it was last trial.
So there have been some motions, I think, piling up.
We got hit. piling up.
2 I have not had a chance to read yet, maybe more. Commonwealth's motion for reciprocal discovery, and then the defendant put in writing about the discovery from Aperture. I've not had a chance to read the prosecutor's opposition. I'd like to do all that before I hear you on that. But the only one that I did read is the reciprocal discovery. Ms. Giannetti, are you examining both Brian Lawferin and Karina Kolakithis?
Yes, and there are 3 issues that I believe we should dispatch with today.
All right, so why don't you, sure, I have time. I just don't know what you're talking about. Sure.
Now I know who Karina is. Brian, is that her husband? Who's Brian, or whoever the one that she just mentioned?
Yeah.
That's her husband.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think, yeah. I think he meant Lucky, right? Did he say Lucky? Is
Oh
that
yeah,
his
she
name?
did say Brian Lawfren.
Yeah, so that's Lucky,
Yeah,
and
it's
then
Lucky.
Karina.
Yep,
So the next two is Karina and Brian and Lucky.
and Lucky.
He is gonna tear Lucky up, Hank Brennan. Ooh,
Yeah,
wee.
but
That's
I'll
gonna
tell
be a
you, that's
lashing. That's
gonna be
gonna,
it. It is, but I think Lucky's the type of guy that he's been probably. I hate to say, I'm gonna throw up a disclaimer, but I'm just gonna say it like this because my observation. Um, and this is just my opinion. Maybe some people might have picked on him a little, and so I don't think Lucky's gonna stand for that shit. I think if Hank comes at him like that, he's gonna put Hank in his place. Lucky feels like he's been out there on boots on the ground all day last 2 days.
oh,
Lucky's
has he?
loving it. Yeah, he's been out there all day today.
He hasn't. So he's been hanging out with them.
I mean, I don't know if he's hanging out with them. Cheryl with an S, when we first started, she said um, that Lucky, yo, Patrick said he's laughing at that. I'm serious though. I mean, I like Lucky. I ain't trying to discredit him in any way. I'm just saying, I feel bad that shit that he was probably that's what happened to him. I don't think Hank's gonna do anything. But no, Cheryl with an S said that he was out there. Patrick, did you see Lucky hanging out there today? What was he doing? Because I would think he has to sit outside the courtroom. You know what I mean? In case it's done. Um, she said Hank is gonna use that. Nah, it's all right.
Well, you know, Hank ain't gonna have no remorse. He's on fire right now. He's loving it. He's in his wheelhouse. He loves the cross. You know what I mean? He loves the cross. It's like he's the punchline king. He fucking loves it.
Oh man.
That's why he hid all. That's why he hid everybody, because he didn't want Alan Jackson to get his shit off. He didn't want them to get crossed up. You know what I mean? So, like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, look at the damage. It's like totally different. Like last year, they called the dude Lally. He called that Dighton cop, and we had a chance to cross him. So everything's different now, man. And now we got to call Higgins, and he's going to come in on the cross and rehabilitate Higgins. You didn't like Karen, right? She hit you up. She really liked you. She went to your house, right? What was she wearing that night? You know what I'm saying? Like he's
Shit.
gonna get crazy.
Can
You
you
know what
tell
I'm
the
trying to
jury
say?
why it was weird?
Yeah, you tell me why it was weird. And Big Bad Brian A, like you was sleeping, right? You made love with your wife, right? And you put it on her good.
Can you tell the jury how many times you guys make love in a
Yeah,
week?
yeah,
Fucking shit like that.
yeah. You know what
Oh
I mean? So
man.
you were drunk. You were hitting the fucking hen rock, right, PA? Why don't you tell them what Hennessy is? Do you know these lyrics to this Nas song right here? Does that mean you were fucking trashed? You were listening to
Oh,
Whose World Is This as you were smashing? Come on,
oh
son.
shit. He said the world is yours. The world is yours. Man, that's crazy. Guarantee. I mean, I hope so. Brian A. Higgins and Proctor. That's the question. Are they gonna call Proctor?
Hold
I
on.
don't know.
You're forgetting one main component here, man. Two main components.
Chris Albert
Chris Albert and Colin.
and Colin. But Colin can still get. They can call him. I thought they could call him, but they couldn't bring the third party culprit towards him or something. How does that work? If it's opened up,
Dude, at this point, man, there's no third party. It's more reasonable doubt, bro. It's
yeah,
like it's switched because they hit everybody. I mean, this trial's totally different because they hid everybody. It's insane. They
yeah,
hid the guy's lawn the dude was on, the ATF
right.
agent who was edging him on. Like, like that's crazy, bro. That's insane. They hit a whole big, like,
How was this? I'm still stuck on this Devitt cop. This woman. How was she gonna say something like that? I mean, we know what she did, but how can she do that? Like, she had eyes on Higgins and Chief Berkowitz. They gave her a hard time. Said Berkowitz is dead now. You're gonna speak bad about him, and I don't know, man. It's just wild that at one point she saw what she saw. Same thing with this guy. He saw that car. He was there for 20 minutes talking to Mrs. Reed. The cops are very observant. All those cops that night. We said this from Jump Street. John O'Keefe's head was on a swivel. He was sussing the whole room out, seeing what was going on. Same with Higgins. Same with Brian A. And that's what I was trying to say. Remember, I said this a couple times, Jay. They have their own language where they can talk to each other just by nodding or giving a signal or knowing, okay, like I think they all knew that it was what was going to happen, I mean, I don't think they knew it was going to go that far, but they knew the fight was going to go down or something was going to be addressed. How's Lally going?
No, you're right, man. Everything you're saying is right. I mean, so far we got some bombshells, man. I mean, that's the thing, man. When you're a cop and he starts saying things like that, the cop is like, he doesn't have the mindset that we have. That's the difference between a cop and a street person. Someone that, you know what I mean? He was trying to answer truthfully. He didn't want to come off like he was lying. So, he was just, that's like that question's crazy. Is your memory different? And it is, right?
Right. I mean, he seems like, like just an honest cop. I think anyone that works with him knows that's just who he is. He's not there to hurt nobody. He's there to just tell the truth and whatever he remembers. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to. I get it. But bro, 20 minutes next to a car, you're not going to forget. Especially if he saw a piece.
Hank is
Now
trying to
you
say
see
that
it
the
another
snow.
way.
Well, Hank is just trying to say the snow. All Hank is going to say in summation is
Snow
this.
is packed in. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what he's going to say.
Yeah. I mean, but then how could two things? He said it. You heard him. He goes, so that's what the light looked like when you saw it that day? And he said, yeah. Okay, but you just said to Alan Jackson that the light definitely didn't look like. So you know who else knows that the light didn't look like that? Is Kerry Roberts and Jen. Because they were out with Karen that night looking for John. They knew that tail light didn't look smashed up like the one that Alan just
Hey,
showed.
thank you so much for watching the Karen Reed trial with us, but I wanted to tell you guys about something
But,
real quick. We talk a lot about
yeah, I'm
personal
gonna end
safety
this,
here
Jay.
all the
Shit's
time.
going on
Did you know
almost
that your
4
personal
hours.
data is being
Yeah, no
harvested by
doubt,
state
man.
online
Hit me up
biometrics?
after, brother.
Anybody
Yeah, hit
can
you up
buy your
after.
personal details. And
Everybody
when that
that's been
happens,
here, I
you're
appreciate
at risk for a whole
everybody.
host of
Peace
things:
and love,
identity
chat.
theft,
Monday, January
abuse,
9th.
phishing
Come out.
scams,
One
potential
love.
I'm out.
stalking. There's so much.
Don't forget, January 9th, we out there. Let me shut this off. Patrick, you're gonna be there, right? Yeah, we're gonna remove you completely. Oh no, hell no. We don't want this. Bad publicity. God damn. Whew. That was scary. June 9th. See you guys there. Before just put this up for you real quick. June 9th, 196 Franklin. Peace out. I appreciate everybody. Free Karen Reed.
Just that I should ask for a transcript.
Well, there must have been some concept. There must have been some context. He didn't just turn to you talking about the weather and say, hey, you should ask for a transcript. You must have been talking about something.
He also generally, not today, but generally says, be honest. Always be honest.
Fantastic. But this morning, about your testimony, what did he tell you? Did he tell you this morning you should be honest?
Not this morning.
Okay. Does anybody need to remind you to be honest when you testify?
No.
Okay. What else did he tell? How did it come up? Hey, by the way, ask for transcripts.
I don't even know how it came up. I didn't put much significance to it.
Well, it was just moments ago it happened because you just got to court. You can't remember the context of the sage advice of Attorney Alessi?
No.
You have any memory issues?
No.
Okay. May I approach?
Yes.
Transcript.